Welcome to the Fantasy Audiobook. Wearing Books. God-Level Understanding. Perfect Start with Magical Skills. Chapter 81. Yeah, exactly. Yu-Tu's face was full of smiles and he couldn't stop at all. He introduced. This is Hongtian, the immortal body of destiny. From now on, he will be the #1 true successor of our Chang sword sect. All the resources of the sword sect will be fully open to him. Yes, I will obey the sect master's decree. Well, after introducing Hongtian, Yu-Tu introduced Linzi, a more important figure. As for this, Linzi, the successor designated by the half-saint ancestor of our sect. From now on, he will be the acting sect leader of our sect. Do you understand? Yu-Tu directly determined the identities of Hongtian and Linzi in just a few words. One was directly promoted to the #1 true successor, and the other directly became the acting sect leader. Such an honor is outrageous and ridiculous no matter which sect it is placed in. Since ancient times, no major sect has recruited disciples and given them to the #1 true successor and acting sect leader on the first day. Especially the absolute hegemonic force like the 9 sects of Qingyu, which has been inherited for tens of millions of years. But everyone in the sword sect was not surprised. Because just based on these 5 words, Daoju immortal body, this kind of treatment is worth it. It can even be said that if the 9 immortals of Dao Dao have the physical strength to reach the level of their Chang sword sect, their sword sect has reached a high level. And one of them is a successor recognized by the ancestor of the half-saint. In terms of seniority, this one must be the half-ancestor of the sword sect. Strictly speaking, they had to call this young man who was at least a few million years younger than them, Master. As a result, a group of elders and deacons who usually stood proudly at the top of Qingyu exchanged glances and immediately gave Linzi and Hongtian the highest courtesy. Subordinates, please see the acting sect leader. I've seen the first true biography. Everyone's attitude was extremely enthusiastic, as if they would follow Linzi and Hongtian's lead from now on. But Hongtian didn't move at all. His face already had that calm world-weary face, a look of sleepiness and laziness. From the moment he became destiny, it was difficult for him to find anything that could move him in this world. For a moment, Hongtian even felt that the Dao 9 immortal body might not be Dao's favor, but some kind of alternative curse. Perhaps, this is what the world often says, whatever you gain, you will definitely lose. Perhaps, this is the reason why the previous generation of Destiny immortal body fell and he became the new Destiny. Tired. I'm going to take a nap first. Hongtian paid no attention to the elders and deacons of the sword sect. He just glanced at Linzi for the last time, then left to find a place to sleep and rest. I'll come find you when I recover. See you next time. I hope you can continue to be a winner. After saying that, Hongtian's figure merged into the void and disappeared. The faces of the elders and deacons couldn't help but froze. Quote. Their mood at the moment was exactly the same as when the Heavenly Sword Emperor was ignored by Hongtian. After all, they are all elders and deacons of the 9 sects of Qingyu. He is a prominent figure in the entire Qingyu. But then I thought about it, I am a destined immortal body, and I am destined to be different from ordinary people. Dragons do not live with snakes, so it is appropriate to pull them a little. Thinking like this, everyone looked at Linzi again. At this time, Linzi was looking at the direction Hongtian was leaving in trance. He was thinking about something very important. That is, his God-level comprehension level 4 ability is to automatically generate the corresponding exclusive physique and bloodline based on the skills. Although Hongtian's destiny immortal body is said to be miraculous, there is only one person in his life. But it also belongs to the physical bloodline, and is naturally included in the professional scope of God-level comprehension level 4. In this case, so here comes the question, does the Destiny immortal body have its own special skills? Quote. Worth a try. Linzi thought like this and didn't have many thoughts about dealing with the elders and deacons of Zhanzong. First time meeting, not familiar. Moreover, he came to Zhanzong just for the skills, not for the interpersonal interaction. So, after withdrawing his thoughts, Linzi just exchanged a few polite words with the elders and deacons, briefly visited the sword sect, and announced Linzi and Hongtian's status in the sect. Even if this meeting comes to an end. After, Linzi went to the library of the Chang sword sect. On the way, Lin Zi met the Heavenly Sword Emperor Shui Jianqing, who was leading Luo Wuchen and the red-haired boy. Brother Lin, we meet again. Congratulations to Brother Lin for inheriting the semi-saint mantle and serving as the acting head of this sect. Shui Jianqing took the initiative to say hello. Senior Sword Emperor is joking. Shui Jianqing waved his hands and said with a smile, Senior, you are just joking. If we really want to talk about it, I have to call you master now. When Luo Wuchen saw Lin Zi, he immediately came to see him with excitement. This time he was able to sneak into Daoji Mountain and join the Chang Sword Sect, and unexpectedly found the family organization, all thanks to Lin Zi. If it weren't for him, Luo Wuchen might have been restrained in front of the Daoji Mountain gate like the other 200 people. Senior Shenwu King. Lin Zi was slightly surprised when he saw Luo Wuchen. I didn't expect you to choose the Chang Sword Sect. Luo Wuchen was the master of Dunyi, so logically he should choose Kanshin Dao Sect. Hearing this, Luo Wuchen hurriedly explained, this junior's initial idea was to choose the Kanshin Dao Sect. But unexpectedly, the younger generation met the ancestors of the clan. Our family has some influence in the Chang Sword Sect, so the younger generation followed our ancestors to the Sword Sect, and returned to the family to recognize our ancestors. Oh, forgot to introduce. Senior, this is Junior's third uncle, Kai Fei Hong. The red-haired boy Kai Fei Hong saluted Lin Zi. Kai Fei Hong meets the acting sect leader. No need to be polite. After the two met, Luo Wuchen suddenly asked again, by the way, Senior, are you still going back to Wagwang realm? Come back. Of course I want to go back. Wagwang Baikan is the place of beginning and the place of secrets. The Lin family bloodline, the last person in Wolf City, and Lu Hanyan, the leader of the demon cult. So many variables hidden. After finishing the work here, I gained the power to sweep across the Qingyu. Lin Zi is going to investigate all these things. See what secrets are hidden behind this. When I finish my work for a while, I will go back. Why, do you want to come with me? After hearing that Lin Zi was also going back to Wagwang realm, Luo Wuchen immediately showed a look of hesitation. He thought for a moment and glanced at Kai Fei Hong again. After Kai Fei Hong was silent for a moment, he nodded imperceptibly. Seeing this, Luo Wuchen said, Senior, if you want to go back, then there is an important matter regarding our Wagwang realm and the Red Spirit clan. I want to talk to my senior alone. I wonder if it's convenient now, Senior. Hearing this, Shui Jianqing said immediately. I still have some important matters within the sect that need to be dealt with urgently, so you can talk first. Oh, by the way, Brother Lin, the young apprentice I mentioned before, I have ordered him to come to Sword Sect quickly. I believe he will arrive before tomorrow night. Thank you, Sword Emperor. No problem, we are all from the same sect. After that, the two handed each other hands and left. After Shui Jianqing left, Lin Zi asked, Tell me, what's the matter? Luo Wuchen said with some embarrassment, I'm sorry, Senior Shenwu King, I just lied to you. Actually, we are not here just by the way, but we are specifically waiting for you to come. You are number one, so you must be the successor of the semi-saint. Going to the Zhanzong Scripture Collection Pavilion is your only way, so we have been waiting for you here early in the morning. But Senior Tianjian Emperor was here just now, so I didn't dare to talk nonsense. Lin Zi raised an eyebrow. It's a bit famous. It seems that what they want to talk about is not a trivial matter. It doesn't matter, just tell me. Kai Fei Hong looked around and immediately punched out a few Red Spirit clan runes out of thin air to block the surveillance in the dark. After laying down the runes, he set up several large formations one after another to isolate the auras of the three of them. It wasn't until several breaths later that Kai Fei Hong finally stopped after using all his means. At this time, Kai Fei Hong explained, this matter is really of great importance. It is not only related to our Qilin clan and Wagwang realm, but also the lifeblood of the entire Qingyu. I must be more careful. Oh, seeing that Kai Fei Hong's words were so serious, it seemed to have risen to the level of affecting the lifeblood of the entire Qingyu. Lin Zi became a little more interested. Let's talk about it. I saw Kai Fei Hong say two words with a serious expression. Phoenix. Lin Zi was stunned. What's happening in Qingyu recently? The nine immortal body of the Great Tao, which has never been seen before, came out. Now even a rare thing like the phoenix, the true spirit of heaven and earth, has appeared. In the world of Tianlin, phoenixes and true dragons are the top true spirits of heaven and earth. They are born according to luck and fortune, and are the darlings of the world. It is a true spirit that is superior to all the races in Tianlin. As the darling of the world, it is said that a drop of phoenix's tears can revive human flesh and bones, a feather can make a person rejuvenated and immortal, and a drop of blood can transform a person's qualifications and make him a successful person. And if you can swallow the phoenix, you will have the best and oldest phoenix bloodline in the world, and you will become a saint and become immortal from now on. It can be said that Phoenix is full of treasures. This makes all the tribes in Tianlin flock to these true spirits of heaven and earth. But as the darling of the world, Phoenix's own strength is the best in the world. People who want to plot against Phoenix are just wishful thinking. This is like someone saying that if you get something, you can become the best in the world. First, you have to defeat the number one in the world who owns the thing. Therefore, those who can plot the phoenix in this world are all Tianlin's top supreme beings. Thinking of this, Lin Zi glanced at Kai Feihong and Luo Wuchen strangely. Even if a phoenix appears, you, Kai Feihong and Luo Wuchen, are two novices. Even if you add yourself, who they think is the immortal body of the divine sea realm, do you want to touch the phoenix? How courageous! Seeing Lin Zi's strange look, Kai Feihong immediately said, No, it's not what you think, acting sect leader. If I were to talk about this in detail, it would be a long story. This matter has to start from 18 years ago. Kai Feihong said, about 18 years ago. There are two young phoenixes. One phoenix and one phoenix suddenly broke into our Qingyu. For a moment, the entire Qingyu high-level officials were in a state of excitement, and they took action upon hearing the news. But soon, Qingyu didn't dare to move. Because this Feng Yiwang was hunted down. The one who is chasing them is no one else, but the unattainable Supreme Saint. One phoenix and one phoenix fled into the Qingyu, and the saint was furious. Because our Qingyu is the territory of the most powerful Qingsheng in ancient times, and with the absolute Daoist restriction left by Qingsheng, the other saints cannot get close to Qingyu at all. Seeing that the meat he was about to get was about to escape, the saint took the risk of being counterattacked by the Qingsheng Daoist ban and struck out from the air. With this blow, the phoenix inside fell instantly. And Huang relied on Feng's sacrifice to escape into the endless void, and has since disappeared, with his whereabouts unknown. The senior officials of Qingyu searched in many ways, including divination, but could not find any trace of the surviving phoenix. In the end, I can only guess that the phoenix should have successfully returned through the Phoenix clan's secret means. At this point, the Phoenix incident, which caused a lot of commotion among the senior officials of Qingyu at that time, has finally come to an end. Kai Feihong finished the origin of Qingyu Phoenix in a few words. Afterwards, he said again. But in fact, I only found out recently that the phoenix is still in Qingyu. She has never left at all. Lin Zi's eyes flashed slightly when he heard this. How can I see it? Because Kai Feihong and Luo Wuchen looked at each other. To be honest, our Qilin clan is actually a subordinate clan of the Phoenix clan. The red spirit lineage has a natural response to the breath of the phoenix. I sense the breath of the phoenix on Wuchen's body. Although it's very faint, it does exist. This means that the phoenix that escaped 18 years ago must be in the Wagwang realm. And this is even more certain after I learned from Wuchen that you are also from the Wagwang realm. Because Kai Feihong glanced deeply at Lin Zi, you have the strongest phoenix aura. It was even so thick that we had contact. In other words, Lin Zi has seen that phoenix. Been touched. Kai Feihong's words made the stars in Lin Zi's eyes flicker instantly. Huang, female, I have seen it. Lin Zi has seen many women. But there is only one person who can make Lin Zi confused and puzzled. Sycamore. Wudong, Fengqi Wudong. Is Wudong the phoenix? Thinking of this, Lin Zi smiled silently in his heart. Okay, the situation started to get messy. Lu Hanyan is the leader of the demon cult. The man in the phoenix tree changed into a woman and became a phoenix. This small land of Baikan is truly a crouching tiger, hidden dragon. However, with the arrival of this news, the clues in Lin Zi's mind gradually became clearer. Even based on Lindsay's thinking of reading so many foreshadowings and clues in novels in his previous life. Lindsay suddenly made a bold guess. In fact, the world is still the same world, and Lindsay was right. It's just, the wrong person died. According to the storyline Lindsay read, Wudong should be the one who died. So Feng lived, and the man became Wutong. But now it is the phoenix that is dead. If the phoenix lives, it will become a phoenix tree. Judging from the fact that Lu Hanyan, a character who just doesn't want to avenge her father's murder, is actually the leader of the demon cult. That book was probably a conspiracy theory from the beginning. It is the multifaceted calculations carried out by various powerful persons around the phoenix. What about Sha Qinghe? What role does this mindless male protagonist play? And whose backhand did the Lin family's Bawang blood come from? The collapse of the Lin family means they are out of the game. Or is it another calculator who takes retreat in order to advance? If Lindsay's guess is true, then many of the seemingly unreasonable places in the original work are worth pondering. Interesting. Calculating, right. Lindsay squinted his eyes and glanced at Jian Zong's scripture collection pavilion. After I scan this sutra pavilion, I will calculate the general ledger with you. Let you understand clearly that cheating is not that easy to mess with. Stop the thoughts in your mind for now. Lindsay looked at Luo Wuchen and Kai Fei Hong again. So what do you, the Red Spirit Clan, think of that phoenix? Kai Fei Hong's eyes flashed. Then it depends on what you think, acting sect leader. Oh, my thoughts. To be honest, we had considered these issues as early as 18 years ago when the Phoenix came. As a subordinate clan of the Phoenix Clan, we, the Red Spirit Clan, should logically assist the Phoenix to return, so that we, the Qingyu Crimson Spirit Clan, can once again gain the friendship and blessings of the Phoenix Clan. Quote. But Qingyu is such a special place. With the protection of Qingsheng, many of us in the Red Spirit tribe have strange thoughts that we would never dare to have. That is, kill the Phoenix and get its blood. Replace the Phoenix. Make our Red Spirit Clan famous all over the world. I wouldn't dare to think about it elsewhere. After all, the Phoenix has a clan. As the most powerful true spirit clan in the world, they will never allow any of their subordinates to do something wrong and insult the Phoenix blood. If we, the Red Spirit Clan, dare to do this, I am afraid that the entire clan will be killed by the strong men of the Phoenix Clan the next day, all causes and effects will be cut off, and all traces of our existence will be wiped out. But in Qingyu, in the land of Qingyu, Phoenix's words don't work. The ancient Qingsheng is the sky here. We don't have to worry about the Phoenix Clan's revenge after killing the Phoenix to take its blood. The red light in Kai Fei's red eyes was flashing crazily. It seemed that he was somewhat interested in this proposal. But other tribesmen believe that we should abide by the original treaty between all races. We should abide by the righteous way of heaven and earth. Besides, we, the Red Spirit Clan, are a subordinate branch of the Phoenix Clan and are related to the Phoenix Clan, so we shouldn't betray the call of blood. Therefore, some tribe members believe that we should find the Phoenix as soon as possible, protect her, let her grow, and find a way to get her back to the Phoenix tribe. In this way, my Red Spirit lineage will be indebted to the Phoenix Clan. No matter what I do, it will be convenient. These two decisions have always been at odds with each other among our Skilling Clan, and no one can convince the other. So, Kai Fei Hong saluted Lindsay again. Kai thought that maybe someone could help our Kai Ling clan make this decision. The implication of Kai Fei Hong's words was to follow Lindsay's lead. Kai Fei Hong's idea is simple. The situation is clear. First, Lindsay is the only person who has actually seen the Phoenix, and he knows where the Phoenix is. Secondly, Lindsay is also from the Wagwang realm. His family is in the Wagwang realm. If the Chilling tribe wants to cause trouble in the Wagwang realm, they will definitely not be able to avoid him. Third, Lindsay has an immortal body. There is no need to explain what the immortal body means. He is destined to be the supreme being in the Tianlin world in the future. What's more, he has now inherited the mantle of the semi-saint, and behind him stands the semi-saint Qinghe, the great-great-grandson of the ancient Qing sage. To sum up, just make friends with Lindsay. Let him make the decision for the Skilling clan. No matter which one he chooses or he has his own ideas, the Skilling clan will have a backup and an explanation in the future. This is the way for the Red Spirit clan to survive for a long time. And this is the real reason why Kai Fei Hong deliberately revealed the news about Phoenix to Lin Zi. Lin Zi also understood what Kai Fei Hong meant. This was a showdown with him through the Phoenix incident. The Skilling tribe wanted to fight him. In this case, interesting. Fate, it's really wonderful. Back then, your second master Zhangjian and I met unexpectedly and got to know you. Now the Skilling clan extends from you. Lin Zi smiled and said, I understand what you mean. Forget it, just because of this fate, if I, Lin Zi, are in the sword sect in the future, I will make your Red Spirit clan glorious. Kai Fei Hong felt happy when she heard this. He said so much, wasn't it just because of Lin Zi's words? Thank you, acting master. Kai Fei Hong took out a red seal of the Chilling clan. This is the core seal of my Red Spirit clan. With this seal, all members of the Skilling clan can pass through. If you want to contact us in the future, just send the order directly through the seal. Kai Fei Hong presented the seal. After that, he said goodbye and left. The acting sect leader must have some important matters to deal with, so Kai and Wuchen won't interrupt. You are busy first, I will leave. Wuchen excuses himself. The goal has been achieved. Kai Fei Hong did not disturb Lin Zi. He put away the formation disc and all the runes and resigned directly. Lin Zi watched Kai Fei Hong leave. After a while, he set off and continued to the Chang Sword Sect's scripture collection pavilion. As a saint's orthodoxy that has been passed down for tens of millions of years, Chang Sword Sect's Sutra Tiding Pavilion must be the best in Qingyu. The number here will definitely not disappoint Lin Zi. After reading all the books here, Lin Zi's strength will undergo earth-shaking changes. Arrive at the Zhanzong Library. Master Lin, see the acting sect master. No need to be polite. Lin Zi went straight to the point. I came here to read the Sword Sect classics. Yes, just look at it, you are the successor of the semi-saint, and all the classics of the Sword Sect are completely open to you. Lin Zi nodded. What level is our sect's holy law on? Heaven level skills correspond to the holy realm. Therefore, people in the world generally call heaven level exercises holy methods. Back to my sect master, our sect's holy law is not placed in the Sutra Pavilion. It is kept by the half-saint ancestor himself. Historically, only descendants of saints can practice. Lin Zi hummed. At the half-saint's place. It just so happens that after reading all the books here, it's time to reach the Mingxuan realm. At that time, go directly to the semi-saint to get the holy method, and directly become the supreme saint. Holding the acting sect master's order, Lin Zi directly entered the Jian sect's library. The Zhanzong Library is located in an independent realm. It is divided into 5 floors. The first floor, entry level, is undefended. Lin Zi took a quick look. He was a bit shocked. This is the entry level. It's densely packed with top-notch human-level skills. There are only 2 human-level products in Baikan Dynasty, but they are everywhere here. Various secret techniques, formations, alchemy books, etc. are also the best among mortals. As for those at the top human level and below, in the eyes of the Chang Sword Sect, it is just trash that is not pleasing to the eye. Not worthy of entering the Sword Sect. Lin Zi casually found a top-notch human-level skill and opened it. Good guy, if you find a book at random, its sophistication can be regarded as the best among the best human-level books. It is not comparable to the ordinary best-level human-level books. Chang Sword Sect, the top rich brother. This time, take off directly. So, Lin Zi directly started a bandit-style raid. You looked through it. Lin Zi immersed himself in a sea of books, devouring everything, absorbing all kinds of martial arts knowledge, and observing the ways of heaven and earth. The progress of his God-level understanding talent has also leapt forward rapidly with the blessing of a personal-level top-notch technique. God-level understanding LV4, 913 10,000ths. God-level understanding LV4, 3,910 10,000ths. Immerse yourself in books. Lin Zi no longer knew how many exercises he had read. He just flipped through the pages numbly. Chang Sword Sect has too many techniques. Kung Fu. This is just the skills, not counting those miscellaneous books about the 5 elements and the yin and yang of the world. Lin Zi's talent progress has already reached God level understanding LV4, 9,910 10,000ths. calculated based on the progress of a top-level human-level skill worth 3 points. Lindsay has turned over a total of 3,000 top-level products. Moreover, each of these 3,000 books is a masterpiece selected by the Chang Sword sect. There are 3,000 high-quality books, so how many would you have if you didn't choose? Quote. Lindsay felt numb. He quietly glanced at the remaining books. Well, he hasn't even turned half of it yet. Lindsay's move was really Qin Shi Huang's touch on the switch, and he won. He thought that the Chang Sword sect would be very rich, but he did not expect that it would be so rich. It is indeed the orthodoxy of the most powerful ancient Qing Shang. After sighing, Lindsay continued to read. Quote. 1 book, 2 books. Quote. There is no time in the Sutra Pavilion. I don't know how much time passed. Lindsay finally reached the level of God-level understanding and became unresponsive. Only then did he stop his mechanical movements. At this time, Lindsay's God-level comprehension talent had reached God-level comprehension level 4, 21,910 10,000ths. Seeing this number, Lindsay felt numb. More than 20,000 progress. This is more than 20 times more progress than the combined progress of Lindsay's hard work in the early stage of collecting and rubbing everything. This, quote. 6. You have read through the books and finally gained some understanding, gaining a more essential understanding of the talent of God-level understanding. You have developed new abilities with God-level understanding. God-level understanding upgraded to LV5, 11,910 100,000ths. From now on, you will gain the ability to comprehend the world and create your own unique skills. The ability to create your own skills is not defined, and the grade is not defined. Its upper and lower limits come from your interpretation of the Tao. The more exercises you learn, the more advantageous you will be in gaining the expertise of hundreds of schools of thought. The higher your realm is, the clearer the principles of heaven and earth will be. Is the level 5 talent a self-created skill? Homemade? It's kind of interesting. It is indeed not a problem to always use other people's things. Going your own way is the ultimate trump card. Lindsay is very satisfied with the ability of the level 5 talent. But having said that, the talent of this God-level understanding is more powerful with each level. Nowadays, level 5 talents are already creating their own path, so what kind of heaven-defying ability should be at level 6? Thinking about this, Lindsay walked directly into the second floor of the Chang Sword Sect's Scripture Collection Pavilion without looking back. On the second floor, all the Earth-level low-level techniques collected by the Chang Sword Sect are displayed here. Its collection specifications and concepts are the same as those on the first level. Just quality products, not junk. This concept has been implemented to the end by the Chang Sword Sect. Lindsay flipped through a book. It is also the best among the low-grade Earth-level products, with its own unique subtleties. Adieu. Start straight away. You have read through. 3 days later, Chang Sword Sect. Lindsay has not yet come out of seclusion. The young apprentice whom the Heavenly Sword Emperor Shui Jianqing summoned urgently from his junior brother had already arrived at Chang Sword Sect and had been waiting for Lindsay for 2 whole days. On the 3rd day, Lindsay still seemed to have no signs of leaving the quarantine. According to the people at the Sutra Pavilion, Lindsay, the acting sect leader, was a martial arts fanatic. He had already spent time in the Sutra Pavilion reading all the books. He was blind to all directions and deaf to all directions. He only focused on reading the Jian sect classics. It is estimated that it will not be released in the short term. This made the young apprentice worried. You must know that the innate stage of enlightenment is calculated in units of hundreds and thousands of years. Lindsay soaked in the Sutra Pavilion. Who knows if this bath lasted for 100 years or 1,000 years? He can't wait here for 100 or 1,000 years, right? How does this mean that he still has his own way to understand and his own path to walk? So, early in the morning on the 3rd day, the young apprentice came to meet the master uncle Shui Jianqing. My nephew Peng Yu pays homage to my uncle. Sit down. Thank you, uncle. Well, you came here to ask when the semi-saint successor came out of seclusion, right? Yes, Master Bo has a sharp eye. You guys have no patience at all. This, Peng Yu said helplessly. Master uncle, it's not that my nephew is impatient, but that retreat in the Shantian realm often takes hundreds of years to start. My nephew really can't wait any longer. Shui Jianqing glanced at Peng Yu and said, don't be impatient. It's almost over. This half-saint successor is no ordinary person. According to his understanding, he can come out of the Sutra Pavilion in as little as 7 days or as quickly as half a month. Just wait a few more days. Before Peng Yu could speak, Shui Jianqing said again, this is a blessing that belongs to you alone. Others want to wait, but they don't have a reason yet. Peng Yu also understood what Shui Jianqing meant. In the past few days since he came to Zhanzong, Peng Yu also knew what kind of person he was going to meet. The number 1 in Daoji Mountain, the successor of the semi-saint, the body of the 9 immortals of the Tao, the acting head of the sword sect, the next lord of the Qingyu. All these names belong to that young supreme genius. The person who wanted to see him was indeed an opportunity that others could not envy. But waiting for hundreds of thousands of years is indeed not the work of humans. That's all, just listen to the great uncle and wait for another 10 days. Let's talk about it then. My nephew understands. My nephew. Peng Yu was planning to resign. Suddenly, the entire sword sect. A terrifying and trembling feeling from the soul suddenly swept through the entire sword sect. Immediately afterwards, it took sword sect as the center of the circle and covered the Qingtian realm in all directions. Boom! It's as fierce as a strong wind and as powerful as a mountain torrent. With a violent attitude, he was wreaking havoc on the entire Qingtian realm thousands of miles away. On the blue sky realm, pieces of hazy misty light sprinkled from the sky, turned into gorgeous smallpox and fell into the mortal world. In the blue sky and the earth, golden holy lotuses suddenly emerged from the ground, covering the world, turning the earth into a golden ocean. The sky is full of excitement. Golden lotus springs from the ground. Someone is attacking humanity. Tianyuan. It's from the Chang sword sect. Tisk, tisk, it is indeed the ancient Qingsheng Dao tradition. A few years ago, there was a heavenly sword emperor who condensed the heavenly essence of the earth. This time, another humane Taoist will be born. The words have not yet finished. A strange phenomenon reappears in the sky. Wisps of purple energy suddenly spread across the blue sky realm. The purple energy comes thousands of miles from the east. The vast purple air blows, the clouds roll and relax. Heaven and earth are in perfect order, and the blue sky is clear. Wo-ri, purple chi coming from the east is a strange phenomenon. Nima, the Chang sword sect has produced another sword emperor. Quote. In the Chang sword sect, the heavenly sword emperor Shui Jianqing suddenly stood up. Purple energy comes from the east, authentic Tianyuan. There are still people in our generation who can condense the authentic Tianyuan. Shui Jianqing is the leader of this generation of Chang sword sect. He is extremely talented and surpasses all others. Break through countless blood and fire, and finally break out of the cocoon and become an emperor. Shui Jianqing knew very well who among the Chang sword sect's generation was high and low, and who had the most weight. It is possible for a few humane Tianyuan to emerge in this generation. But authentic Tianyuan, only by achieving the authentic way can you know how difficult it is. I thought that Shui Jianqing was extremely talented. He was the first in the Chang sword sect after 10,000 years of training, and was accepted as his direct successor by the deputy sect master of the sword sect on the spot. But it also took 300,000 years of hard training, 300,000 years of calamity, 300,000 years of precipitation, 300,000 years of sword mastery, and 300,000 years of bloody battles. A whole 5 and 300,000 years. In the end, he emerged from the cocoon and became a butterfly, becoming the Tianyuan emperor. The hardships involved are indescribable to outsiders. This generation of Zhanzong wants to produce another Tianyuan emperor. Shui Jianqing was thoughtful. Others have no reason. Wait a minute, could it be that bad woman Miao Yu? Sword sect Tianyu Palace. Miao Yu, one of the 5 giants who once appeared briefly in the Waguang realm, looked at the vision in the sky and licked his lips. I told you, we'll meet again soon. But before we even met, you gave me such a big surprise. Purple energy comes from the east. With your temperament, this shouldn't be your entire limit, right? The words just fell. Another vision appears in the sky. On the blue sky realm, the sun and the moon are in the same sky. They seem to have arrived in the world of Tianlin in their true form. Divide the blue sky realm into 2. Aside, the sun is scorching, the scorching sun is burning the sky. The terrifying high temperature expanded rapidly, burning all things in the 9 heavens and 10 places. Under the scorching sun, the flowers, grass, trees in this area were scorched. What you see is a scene of hell on earth. The other side. The silver plate hangs high, the bright moon is clear. The bright moonlight spreads lightly, covering everything sleeping in the dark night with a hazy moonlight gauze. They are blurred in the night, making the whole night full of mystery. Everywhere you look you see peace and tranquility. See this scene. Miao Yu's mouth curled up slightly. Really. Her eyes shone with mystery. Tian Dao Tianyuan. As expected of the man I like. Quote. On the other side, the heavenly sword emperor Shui Jianqing was even more shocked. The way of heaven. Quote. Miao Yu, that bad woman can condense the way of heaven. I won't believe it even to death. Impossible. Absolutely impossible. Quote. But if it wasn't wonderful desire, who else could it be? Shui Jianqing frowned. At this time, he glanced at Peng Yu who was trembling as he couldn't resist the pressure. A figure suddenly appeared in Shui Jianqing's mind. It's him. But didn't he just break through the peak of the divine sea? Only a few days later, it hit the heavenly Dao Tianyuan. This, after all, you have spent this year until you are 19, right? Quote. Shui Jianqing suddenly felt weak in his heart. These immortal bodies really don't make sense at all. At this time, another immortal, Hongtian. He woke up from his sleep and yawned in boredom as he watched Lin Zi's breakthrough vision. Tiandao Tianyuan, isn't this the standard configuration of the immortal body? Just have some hands. I don't know why these people are so surprised and making such a fuss. After yawning, Hongtian stretched again. This will break through Tianyuan, a little faster than I thought. Get some sleep first, and then I'll take over when you make a breakthrough. After saying that, Hongtian fell down again, turned over and continued to sleep. Quote. Sword sect leader Yu Tu and others also looked at the scene of the sun and moon in the sky and shook their heads. Tisk, the immortal body is the immortal body. You have just been promoted to the peak of the divine sea, and you have broken through the Tian Yuan in just a few days. Sect master, what kind of immortal body do you think this person is? Looking at his speed, what else could he be if he wasn't an ethereal immortal body? But his understanding is not even comparable to that of the immortal body of destiny. What is it if it's not Wandharma? This, his grandma, is there really such an outrageous thing as twin immortal bodies in this world? Quote. All the senior officials of Sword Sect suddenly felt a little strange. They looked at the scene of the sun and the moon in the same sky, and were stunned for a long time. And at this time, the vision in the sky is finally coming to an end. Following the flowers falling from the sky, golden lotuses spring up from the ground, the purple energy comes from thousands of miles east, and the sun and the moon are in the same sky. A bright golden radiant Tianyuan suddenly pushed aside the vast sea of clouds, shining with extremely dazzling light in the sky. Look at this golden Tianyuan. Everyone's hearts seemed to have been washed, becoming transparent and clean. A supreme and holy energy from heaven itself emanated from the golden Tianyuan, allowing everyone in the blue sky realm to touch the existence of heaven. The light reaches the sky. Fortunately, and this is the legendary Tiandao Tianyuan. Hiss, oh my god, the sword sect is going against the will of heaven. It turns out to be really the heavenly Dao Tianyuan. Humanity is revered, earth is the emperor, and heaven is the only god. Another monk god comes to the world. Tisk, the god of monks. In the hundreds of millions of years since our Qing domain was opened by the ancient Qing sage, there have only been 15 beings named gods. How lucky we are! How lucky we are! We can witness the emergence of a monk god in our lifetime. Let's go to the Chang sword sect to watch the ceremony. Let's go together. Quote. At this time, in the Chang sword sect sutra collection pavilion, Lin Zi himself fell into silence. Because a shining colorful Tianyuan is floating on Lin Zi's divine sea. Colorful. Lin Zi knew. Emmanuel Tianyuan is blue. Humanity Tianyuan is purple. The tunnel is red. The way of heaven is golden. But what the hell is this colorful thing? Lin Zi looked through so many books from the Chang sword sect's inventory, but he couldn't find any records about colorful Tianyuan, not even a few scattered words. Has his Tianyuan mutated? Quote. Lin Zi felt the power of colorful Tianyuan again. It is much stronger than the previous golden stage. Other than that, it doesn't seem to be much different from Tiandao Tianyuan, and it doesn't have any special aura. Quote. There was silence for a moment. Lin Zi put away the Tianyuan light. Forget it, never mind, keep making breakthroughs. The next step is the limit of innate life, Mingzan. Lin Zi closed his eyes. The top-level prefecture-level skill, the sun sets in the long river, in his hand automatically moved without wind, instilling mysterious runes page after page. Lin Zi's colorful Tianyuan absorbed all these runes, giving birth to the power to comprehend the mysteries of life and lead to the other side of the sky. Mingshuan, broken, with the birth of Lin Zi's life force. In the realm of blue sky, the storm has not calmed down, and changes are happening again. Following the strange phenomena such as flowers falling from the sky, golden lotuses sprouting from the ground, and the sun and moon in the same sky, another terrifying aura descended on the world. But this time, its scope is no longer the blue sky realm, but the entire Qingyu. Boom! The heaven and earth are vast, and the eternity is long. A bright Tianyuan was wrapped in countless ancient and mysterious heavenly runes, rushed into the blue sky, and finally opened up the other side of the sky in the vast sea of heaven and earth that mortals cannot see or know. The colorful rays of light come from the other side of the sky. The glory from the sky shines on Tianyuan, congratulating him for understanding the mystery of life and about to embark on a further step in the evolution of life. Heaven and earth witness together, and all spirits move together. Another innate being has reached the limit of his life, achieved Mingzan, and ascended to the position of eternal great sage. At this moment, everyone in Qingyu was shocked. Mingshuan. We in the Qing territory have added another sage who is in the innate realm. I am very happy and congratulated. But, who could it be? Among the Tianyuan strongmen in the world, in terms of seniority, Ku Rong is the most powerful. This old guy has been breaking through the human Tianyuan for 23 million years. He has a profound background. Not surprisingly, he should be the one. Kurong, I think Zan, after all, he is just a humane Tianyuan, and the chance of his human body breaking through the Mingshuan is not high. This old guy has lived for more than 20 million years. If he could break through, he would have broken through long ago. Now that his lifespan is about to expire, how can he still have enough energy and blood to face the realm of Mingshuan? Quote. I think the one in New Moon Mansion. Quote. Mingshuan reappeared, and the Qingyu area was boiling. Everyone celebrated the appearance of a Mingshuan great sage and kept discussing his identity. Except for the blue sky realm. At this time, there was silence in the Qingtian realm. Everyone stared blankly at the sky, looking as if they had seen a ghost and were frightened. Their lips trembled, their hands and feet trembled. Silent for a long time. Quote. And the reasons for this situation. In the perception of everyone in Qingtian realm, they could clearly feel that this breath of life that broke through the Mingshuan was exactly the same as the strong man who condensed the heavenly Tao and Tianyuan just now. In other words, the person who broke through the Mingshuan and condensed the heavenly Tao Tianyuan is the same person. After a person broke through Tianyuan, he immediately broke through Mingshuan without even taking a minute. Quote. Quote. Horse riding. What the hell? How is it possible that someone has just broken through Tianyuan and immediately reached Mingshuan? This is incredible. Incredible. Is God kidding us again? Quote. Everyone was puzzled, with the word, outrageous, written all over their faces. And within the Chang sword sect, Heavenly Sword Emperor Shui Jianqing also fell into silence. He seemed to remember. He said in Daoji Mountain that within 100,000 years, the entire Qing territory would be led by Lin Zi. Quote. 100,000 years. He was conservative. It's because he has limited knowledge, too superficial. In the Palace of Heavenly Desire, Miaoyu, who had always been mysterious, was speechless at this time. As she watched Lin Zi step into Mingzan, her pair of lustful and naturally charming moon eyebrows suddenly wrinkled. This is not right. The back mountain of Zhanzong. Hongtian woke up again from his deep sleep. My life is mysterious. Hongtian looked at the sky and blinked in confusion. Did I sleep for several years? Quote. But apparently not. Hongtian was puzzled. I can understand you quickly condensing the heavenly Tao Tianyuan, but is it too much for you to immediately break through the Mingxuan without taking a break? Am I destiny or are you destiny? Hongtian fell into doubt in his life. He can't sleep. And at this time, in the sky, the vision changes again. A scene of primitive chaos filled the entire Qingyu. In chaos and mist, a handsome face appeared high in the sky. He sits high in the sky, overlooking all living beings. His vision is high and distant, his eyes are so dim. How weak and fragile human beings are in front of this gigantic face. How vast is this world? And how restricted. Everyone's hearts are trembling. In a daze. At this moment, the vast blue field seems to have turned into a fish pond. The rest of them were struggling fish in a pond. It's the man in the pool. And the owner of this face is the supreme master outside the fish pond, who can decide their life and death at will, and control the fish pond and the fish's fate. It's from outside the pool. Quote. Quote. What is this? Is this great power still the mystery of life? Is someone becoming a saint? No. This seems to be. Quote. Chang Sword Sect. Sect leader Yu and others trembled when they saw this giant face. A thrilling feeling of horror suddenly arose in the hearts of these top figures in Qingyu. Leave your name in heaven and earth. As soon as these words came out, the giant face in the sky overlooking all living things suddenly became higher and higher. The full appearance of the giant face appears in the sky of Qingyu. He was a handsome young man dressed in white as snow, with a handsome face, dressed like a young man from an aristocratic family. After taking one look at all the living beings, he turned around and left resolutely, stepping into an unknown situation. Only a majestic figure is left, turning its back to all sentient beings. Immediately afterwards, the back figure dissipated between heaven and earth, transforming into a shining word, Z, in the flowing light. An ancient book of time comes across time and space. Sword Sect's forbidden land. In a dark void, Semi-Saint Qinghe, who was imprisoned and entangled by 3,000 chains, finally opened his eyes. Previously, even the condensation of heavenly Tao Tianyuan and the successive attacks on Mingxuan failed to wake him up. Now, the appearance of the Book of Time has finally awakened this ancient semi-sage, the great-great-grandson of the ancient Qing sage, from his slumber. Semi-Saint Qinghe looked at the Book of Time with burning eyes. I saw it open the thick pages. Every page symbolizes a long river of time. On a blank page, the word, Z, was included, engraved deeply. Seeing this scene, Semi-Saint Qinghe smiled silently. In the void, the seemingly endless chains of laws trembled. Bang, bang, bang. The chains made harsh clashes, as if they were about to break at the next moment. Bang, bang, bang. The echoes of the chains are endless. Afterwards, Semi-Saint Qinghe glanced in the direction of the Zhangzong scripture collection pavilion and closed his eyes again. Over the Qingyu, after the Book of Years recorded the word, Z, it also flowed back into the chaos and disappeared. All the visions were finally swept away. A long time, a long time. There was no sudden change between heaven and earth. At this point, this massive breakthrough has finally come to an end. But its aftertaste continues to reverberate in the Qingyu. Quote. Quote. That was just now. That's right. It must be. That is the name left by heaven and earth in the legends of the ancient sages. Master Dao, my eyes have been opened today. This legendary thing is actually true. Uncle Master, what does it mean to leave a name on heaven and earth? What do you mean? What do you mean by asking me? I really can't answer you, Master Dao. As for the naming of heaven and earth, I have only heard some ancient legends from my ancestors. There is a legend that the name in this world is used to reward those talents who have made outstanding contributions to the world of Tianlin. There are also legends that leaving names in heaven and earth is the proof given by this world to the most powerful people who have exhausted all creation. There are also rumors that the name left on heaven and earth is an anchor for this world to remember its glory. As for what this anchor point is, then you can only ask God. Anyway, you just need to know that leaving your name on heaven and earth is a very big deal. Look at the hundreds of millions of years that we have been in Qingyu, which Mingshuan great sage can leave his name in the world. Not to mention Qingyu, among the crooked melons and cracked jujubes in other nearby regions, who can break through the fate and create such a phenomenon. If there is none, how did this legend get passed down? That's why it's called a legend. Master Dao, I really opened my eyes today. Lin Zi's breakthrough caused an uproar in Qingyu. At this time, in the Sutra Pavilion, Lin Zi put down the sunset yuan on the long river in his hand and put it back intact. At this point, he finally absorbed all of this ancient scripture pavilion, reached the pinnacle of innate life, and achieved all the breakthroughs in the innate stage. Everything he learned was refined at the time of his breakthrough, using his own blood from the 8 ancient desolations as the core. With the blessing of the huge treasure house of Chang's sword sect, Lin Zi's current skill configuration has all reached the level of the best at the prefecture level. But unfortunately, the great wilderness Junyangong, which is exclusive to the ancient 8 wilderness blood, still only has the 2 paths of essence and energy. The method of refining gods, especially the high-level methods of refining gods, is really lacking. Even with the size of the Chang sword sect, there are only a few methods for refining gods. But even so, Lin Zi has reached the ultimate level at this time. At this moment, he didn't know whether he could be considered a semi-saint. The realm of the saint is too mysterious and mysterious. The relationship between it and the innate is like the innate and the acquired. The latter can only look up to it but not get involved in it. In short, Lin Zi's aura at this moment was extremely terrifying, as deep as a giant abyss and as vast as a sea of smoke. The endless light of law manifested in Lin Zi's body, and the majesty of the supreme and holy heaven burst out from the 7-colored Tianyuan wrapped in mysterious runes and spread throughout his body. As soon as the eyes are closed, the power of heaven that impacts the human soul pours out, washing away all the injustices in the world. The breath swayed slightly, and the boundary layer of the Qingyu seemed to be cracked. He seemed to have become the most holy incarnation of heaven, a walker of heaven, interpreting the majesty of heaven. At the same time, driven by the treasure trove of the Chang sword sect, Lin Zi's god-level understanding also absorbed enough progress and reached level 6. You have read through the books and finally gained some understanding, gaining a more essential understanding of the talent of god-level understanding. You have developed new abilities with god-level understanding. God-level understanding upgraded to LV6 36800 100W. From now on, you will gain the ability to steal Dao fruit. The ability of LV6 is very simple and easy to understand. It means literally, steal Dao fruit. But the question is, what does this Dao fruit refer to? Daoguo has different explanations in different worlds, and each explanation is quite high-end. In short, it is as misty as it comes. This also left Lin Zi with no ideas for the time being. He didn't see any explanation about Dao fruit in the major books of the Chang sword sect, just like his 7-colored Tianyuan. Lin Zi estimated that Daoguo wouldn't be frowned upon until he reached the realm of saints, and he couldn't get into it yet. So, Lin Zi packed up and went out of seclusion, stepping out of the scripture depository pavilion where he had been staying for several days. This trip to the Sutra Pavilion can be said to be the most terrifying money Lin Zi has made since he was born. Not only did he push his god-level understanding from LV4 to LV6, he also pushed his realm completely to the innate limit. Make money with blood. Lin Zi stepped out of the scripture collection pavilion in high spirits. Next moment, Yu Tu and other senior officials of the sword sect immediately appeared in front of Lin Zi. They all looked at Lin Zi with expressions of wonder, as if they had seen a ghost. Several people looked at each other with big eyes and small eyes, speechless. Even if someone wanted to say something, they opened their mouths, but they didn't know how to blurt out the words, so they swallowed them back. Lin Zi had no choice but to take the initiative to break the weird atmosphere. Sect master, elders. Lin just stayed in seclusion for a few days. Why are you acting like this? That's right. But how many days was it in retreat? Nothing beats it. Very nice. If I have this ability, I will play like this. The corner of Yu Tu's mouth twitched, and finally he just said, "Are you really a double immortal?" When Lin Zi heard this, He looked at the direction of Hongtian, and his eyes flashed. Double immortal body. Not now, but in the future, then I can't say for sure. What do you think, the sect master? I thought it was stupid. I know, can I still ask you? Yu Tu was speechless. At this time, an elder beside him asked eagerly. Acting sect master, you just stepped into the magical realm where you leave your name on heaven and earth. The legendary world leaves its name. What does that feel like? Yes. The world says that leaving a name in heaven and earth is the Tao's reward and proof for the most powerful. How does that feel? ... Everyone was eagerly asking about the matter of leaving a name on heaven and earth. No wonder they are like this. The name of this heaven and earth has been spread in the world since the legend began, but there has never been a real case. In the past hundreds of millions of years in the Qingyu and other realms, those who have broken through the mysterious fate have been the best in each realm. They are the sons of creation who have gathered the gods of a region, but none of them has ever achieved the legendary goal of leaving their name in heaven and earth. Seen. To the world, leaving a name on heaven and earth is like an illusory belief, a story used by predecessors to inspire future generations. But now, the legend has become reality. This thing about leaving a name in heaven and earth actually appeared. It's right in front of them. Right in their sword sect. This made the senior officials of the sword sect eagerly ask questions as if they were in a panic. Yu Tu glared at everyone. There are no rules or regulations. What do you look like? Yu Tu's implication was that leaving a name in heaven and earth might involve some of Lin Zi's personal privacy, so these elders should not act haphazardly, lose their sense of proportion, and offend Lin Zi. Lin Zi right now is more than just a fairy. He is also a powerful man who has made a name for himself in the world. A Dachengxian body that is about to mature. Only then did everyone realize that they were too anxious. Ahem, acting sect leader, we were too abrupt. I hope our sect leader Haihan. The senior executives who reacted repeatedly said words such as, rude and offensive. Lin Zi waved his hand. It's okay, it's human nature. It's just this so-called leaving a name on heaven and earth. Lin Zi pondered for a moment. Even if you asked, it would be difficult for Lin to give details. I also know only a little about this thing. At the moment when the world left his name, Lin Zi just felt as if he had broken through a certain layer of shackles and experienced a certain sense of detachment. That moment, all living beings are within sight. The land of Qingyu seems to have turned into a huge chessboard. Everyone is just a pawn on that chessboard. And he is the chess player. I have the qualifications to move the chessboard. Vaguely, Lin Zi also had some kind of special connection with Fang Tiandi. The identity relationship between them seemed to have changed from subordinates to individuals who could talk to each other on an equal footing. But upon closer inspection, it became clear that Lin Zi's life form hindered their harmony between man and nature. In other words, Lin Zi has equal qualifications, but not equal strength. Want to truly unlock the secrets of the name of heaven and earth, the colorful Tianyuan, and the Tao fruit. Holy land, still a holy place. Lin Zi must break through the mysterious supreme holy realm to get a glimpse of the whole world. Hearing what Lin Zi said, he showed a look of deep thought and confusion, and everyone stopped asking questions, so as not to offend this supreme immortal who could leave a name in heaven and earth. They turned to congratulate Lin Zi. It doesn't matter. With the ability of the sect master, sooner or later you will unlock the legendary secret of leaving a name on heaven and earth. It's so congratulations to our sect leader for breaking through the Tianyuan and Mingshuan realms, breaking through the two realms of the innate supreme realm, opening up a feat that has never been done before or since, and achieving the supreme myth of our Qing territory. Congratulations to the acting sect master. ... Everyone complimented Lin Zi and wanted to make friends with him. But Lin Zi still has a lot of things to do right now. The various plots surrounding the Phoenix, the secrets of the Lin family bloodline, the breakthrough saint, etc. He doesn't have the time to engage in unnecessary social interactions. He said a few words to everyone casually. It just so happened that the will photo of the Heavenly Sword Emperor Shui Jianqing arrived again at this time and told about Peng Yu's arrival. Lin has some important matters to deal with, so I'm going to leave now. ... Lin Zi escaped from the enthusiasm of the crowd and disappeared in the blink of an eye. Qingyu, a terrifying place full of demonic energy. Lu Hanyan looked at the sky, the astonishing vision still lingering in her eyes. One of the 4 guardians under her looked panicked. Leave your name in heaven and earth. This legendary thing actually exists. It is said that those who can break through the world and leave a name are the most powerful and unparalleled people in the world. His existence is a symbol of an era. With him here, our holy religion, this. Several people looked at Lu Hanyan. Lu Hanyan has a pair of beautiful eyes. She looked at that patch of sky for a long, long time. After a long time, a soft sigh came. Total chaos. The Zhaofeng who was supposed to come didn't come, but the person who shouldn't be alive turned against the laws of nature. Causation is confused, fate is reversed. Sage Qingkang, is this even part of your plan? Lu Hanyan looked through the time and space of Qingyu and saw the mysterious Daoji mountain. A hint of evil energy burst out in her eyes. Wagwang realm. A small mortal country with a vast territory and sparsely populated areas. Wudong shuddered. She gritted her teeth. Pervert. Big pervert. How could such a person exist in this world? Looking from this, he clearly knew my identity from the beginning. Then why does he still pretend to know nothing? Wudong doesn't understand, absolutely doesn't understand. A living phoenix stands in front of you. Even if you have no ideas, you still have to say a few words, right? No, this world is too dangerous. I have to quickly get my brother's phoenix back and restore his phoenix body. I remember that before my brother left, he used the phoenix secret technique to throw Feng Yuan in the east direction of Wagwang realm. That should be right. Keep going east. Wudong stepped forward. Wait, that's not right. Wudong suddenly thought of something. Since Lin Zi is an innate god-human being, why did he tolerate being immortal when he was in Baikan? To endure the loneliness of the Lin family. Later, his true identity was revealed. He didn't reveal it sooner or later, but he waited until he saw himself to reveal it. He's waiting for me. He deliberately wanted me to find my brother's Feng Yuan. Wudong's pupils suddenly shrank. A wave of cold air traveled throughout my body. Cold, biting cold. The cold is everywhere, in the darkness all around, in the void. It seems that there is someone hiding his spy and his magical power, and he is silently monitoring Wudong. Lin Zi, you are so scheming. I'm so unlucky to meet such a fool like you, my aunt. You want Feng Yuan, right? I want you to ask for Feng Yuan. Even if my aunt throws it to wild dogs, she won't give it to you. Wudong was so angry that he gritted his teeth. But on the surface, she still looked around pretending not to know, and sighed as if nothing happened. Then he turned around and walked to the west of Wagwang realm. Chang's sword sect. Lin Zi's thought turned into countless tiny light and shadow particles that reorganized in Shui Jianqing's villa. In front of you, Shui Jianqing, a man in green clothes and a green sword, and a young man with a handsome face beside him saw Lin Zi appearing and immediately paid their respects. See Senior Lin. See Sect Master Lin. Senior Sword Emperor, why do you need to be polite? You and I are still the same as before. Lin Zi stopped Shui Jianqing. Shui Jianqing shook his head and said with a slightly bitter expression, the etiquette cannot be abolished. You are now regarded as the great sage of Mingshuan. How dare Shui dare to support you in front of you? Times have changed. Even though it's just 3 days, even though this is a bit outrageous and hard to accept. But the fact is that Brother Lin 3 days ago has been promoted from the peak of Shanghai to Mingshuan Great Sage, and has become a super being on the same level as his master, or even better. Brother Lin must never scream again this time. Seeing Shui Jianqing's rigid persistence, Lin Zi had no choice but to change the topic. Is this the young apprentice the Sword Emperor mentioned before, the Wuan royal family? Tell me about yourself. I'm very curious about what happened between you and Langdu. Hearing this, Peng Yu's body tensed up and he straightened up quickly. Yes, Sect Master Wei Lin, I am an ordinary person from the royal family of Wuan dynasty in Wagwang realm. In terms of blood, he can barely be regarded as a prince, because my father is Emperor Wuan. But my mother is just an ordinary palace maid, and my birth was nothing more than the emperor's lust. Because of this status, I encountered many difficulties when I was in the palace, which was not satisfactory. Later, I was fortunate enough to get to know my mentor in the game world. Fortunately, my mentor took pity and appreciated me and put him in the door. Then I jumped through the dragon gate and entered the gate of innateness from an ordinary person. After that, I bid farewell to Wagwang Wuan and followed my mentor to the Chang Sword sect, and I no longer care about worldly affairs. It wasn't until later that I accidentally received Peng Yang's request for help. He claimed that Wuan has experienced great changes, and that the royal family has been plotted by rebels. Now that the family and country have collapsed, Wuan's orthodox can only live in the Wolf City and survive. He hopes that I can help Wuan restore the country for the sake of being of the same royal family. Annihilate the rebel Baikan. Speaking of this, Peng Yu glanced at Lin Zi's face. He already knew that this being with a series of incredible titles was the Shenwu King of Baikan, the bloodline of the Lin family and the Baikan royal family. I came to him this time, most likely to ask for guilt. So, when Peng Yu saw Lin Zi's slightly cold expression, he immediately said, "But I don't have a good impression of the Wuan royal family. Because of my own background and experiences, I only have a stranger-like coldness toward the Wuan royal family. I even secretly rejoiced when I heard that Wuan was destroyed. It was only later that Peng Yu thought that he did have the blood of Wuan. Although I really don't want to admit it, I can't change this established fact." So, thinking of this last blood bond, I helped Peng Yang once. This time, I bought out the last relationship between me and Wuan's blood, and we will never owe each other anything. Peng Yu continued, "At that time, because I was mostly active in the All Things Tianqian sect area, I gave him a few divine talismans and a letter of recommendation from the All Things Tianqian sect, and became an outer disciple there. As for whether he can be promoted to the inner sect and gain the power of revenge. You said you let him go to the All Things Tianqian sect." Lin Zi's eyes flashed slightly when he heard the name of the All Things Tianqian sect. Everything Tianqian sect. This name appeared on the blood silk in Lu Hong's tomb. At that time, Lin Zi didn't care too much. He was not interested in the story between the demon sect and Qingyu, as long as the demon sect didn't mess with him. But now, Lin Zi's eyes flickered. "Soon you will know that not everyone can touch a dick." "Exactly." Peng Yu hesitated for a moment. "Sect Master Lin, is there anything wrong with the Wanwu Tianqian sect?" "It's okay, please continue talking and tell us about what happened next. What strange things happened to Peng Yang after he entered Tianqian sect? Especially about the Baikan Lin family." Hearing this, Peng Yu said directly, "There is something about the Baikan Lin family." Although I ignored Peng Yang again, he still sent me messages from time to time to tell me about the changes in Wolf Capital, and he wanted to regard me as the backbone of Wolf Capital's restoration. And among these messages, there is indeed something strange about the Lin family. I remember that it was about a small friction between Langdu and Baikan, about 10 years ago. It should be right. I have a deep impression on this matter because it is indeed quite bizarre. I heard Peng Yu say, "Little friction," and 10 years ago. Lin Zi narrowed his eyes slightly. If he is right, what Peng Yu is talking about should be the border battle between the two countries that cost his father and second uncle his life. Hearing Peng Yu say that this matter was rather bizarre, Lin Zi moved his fingers slightly. The death of the two outstanding figures of the Lin family during the border dispute has always been a mystery. It has been determined that Emperor Baikan did not do anything secretly. And the Lin family army has abundant combat power. In addition, the scale of the war is relatively small. With the abilities of the two outstanding figures of the Lin family, it would not be easy for them to die. Tell me carefully. Yes, Peng Yu organized his words and said, "On a snowy night about 10 years ago, the Langdu army attacked the Baikan army led by the Lin family at night. When the two sides were at war, suddenly two white lights shone on the battlefield. Immediately afterwards, everyone seemed to have experienced a change in time and space. They didn't know the age, the sun and the moon. They just swing their weapons instinctively and kill whatever they see. By the time the white light disappeared and everyone recovered, the battlefield was already in a mess. There are corpses all over the ground. There are less than 100 people still standing on the battlefield. And these hundreds are all Langdu people. The Baikan army led by the Lin family was completely wiped out. Not a single person was left alive. They just finished this battle in a muddle, and even the wolves won. And in the days that followed, those Langdu soldiers who survived the battlefield all died of ulcerated wounds and contracted diseases. No one was left. Peng Yang thought this matter was extremely strange, so he blocked all news and came to ask me how to deal with it and whether it would affect Langdu. Although I thought this was strange at the time, I didn't get involved because I didn't want to be associated with the Wolf City anymore. Later, the matter fell into disuse. The above is all the information I know about the Lin family. Quote. After listening to Peng Yu's narration, Lin Zi was silent for a long time. Two white lights. When he woke up, there were corpses everywhere. Afterwards, everyone died from wound infection. This is silence. And in that war, what was worth silencing? At this moment, Lin Zi thought a lot. Many possibilities come to mind. It seems that he needs to return to Wagwang as soon as possible. Sect Master Lin, Peng Yu asked carefully, as if facing a trial. At this moment, Peng Yu's heart was lifted. He was afraid that Lin Zi would be angry with him because he had helped the Wuan royal family once. After all, the person in front of me is none other than an immortal. A Mingshuan great sage. He holds the power of life and death in his hands. Lin Zi wanted to kill him, not to mention his master, even his uncle Shui Jianqing couldn't save him. Just when Peng Yu was in a state of confusion, Lin Zi finally spoke. He glanced at Peng Yu. Thank you for the message. This news is very helpful to me. Peng Yu immediately felt as if he had been granted amnesty and the crisis was averted. He breathed a sigh of relief, as long as it works. Being able to help Sect Master Lin is a blessing that this boy has cultivated for 3 lifetimes. Whatever you want, tell me. Lin Zi interrupted Peng Yu's flattery and said, Lin always has clear rewards and punishments. The information you provided helped me and deserves a reward. This. Peng Yu was stunned. Will he get paid for saying a few words? He looked at Grandmaster Shui Jianqing. Shui Jianqing gave Peng Yu a withdrawing look. Then he said, Senior Lin is too polite. This young nephew Shui only said a few words, how can he deserve the reward from seniors? Senior, it's very merciful of me not to argue with this kid about Baikan and Langdu. In this way, if the seniors really want to reward them, they will be rewarded by Shui. It just so happens that Shui also wants to promote and train a few juniors in the sect recently. Master Nephew, please step back first. Yes, goodbye, nephew. Lin Zi could only say, forget it, if Senior Sword Emperor is in trouble in the future, please come and inform Lin Zi. Lin still has some say in this Qingyu. Shui Jianqing laughed, then I hope I won't trouble Senior Lin in the future. After saying that, Shui Jianqing picked up the teacup. The freshly soaked spring mountains are early green, please, Senior. A cup of tea enters the intestines. The two of them drank tea and talked about everything. When talking about the 3 meridians of heaven and earth, Lin Zi suddenly remembered something important. His 3 bloodlines of the 8 wildernesses were merged into one, and he still lacked the final step to refine himself. If he can gather the last refining gods, his Bawang blood will be improved to a higher level, the essence, energy and spirit will be completely integrated, and his combat power will be greatly increased again. Moreover, Lin Zi could feel that the current Bawang blood was not in full condition. Only when the 3 meridians are united can the Bawang blood in his body burst out with truly shocking power and show his true appearance. Then his heart moved, and he quickly asked, speaking of the 3 veins of heaven and earth, does Senior Sword Emperor know where there are high-level spiritual tribes in our Qing territory now? Although there are thousands of races in Tianlin, in the final analysis, these races cannot avoid 3 main threads. One is Qi training with the human race as the core, the other is the essence refining with the demon race as the core, and the last one is the god training with the spirit race as the core. Among them, the demon race and the human race have active exchanges all year round, whether in war, trade, cooperation, etc. Therefore, the relationship between the demon clan and the human clan is deep, and both sides are relatively familiar with each other. The essence refining method and the Qi training method are very popular in Tianlin. The Lian Shen lineage with the spirit race as the core is relatively mysterious and quiet. They float outside the world, are independent from the world, and never interfere in the disputes between Tianlin and other domains. Therefore, the spirit clan's method of refining gods is rarely popular. This is also the real reason why the Chang Sword sect of the Majestic Saint Orthodoxy does not have a few books on the method of refining gods. It is not that the Chang sword sect cannot collect it, but that this thing is exclusively monopolized by the spiritual clan. In order to find a suitable and matching spiritual training method, Lindsay could only find the source. It is true that Lindsay, who has a God-level understanding and the ability to create his own, can now create his own divine refining method to complement the unity of the three meridians. But without enough samples for reference, Lindsay was not sure what could be created and how long it would take to create something. So it's best to have ready-made ones. Hearing Lindsay ask about the Spirit Clan, Shui Jianqing thought about it carefully. The Spirit Clan. Quote. He shook his head. I disappoint my seniors. Our Qingyu is not a place where the spirit race is entrenched. If Senior Lin wants to find a pure spirit race here, it may be difficult. Furthermore, the spirit race has always been independent and far away from the hustle and bustle of the world. Even if there is a spirit race entering the Qing territory, I'm afraid we won't be able to know about it. Lindsay was not surprised when he received Shui Jianqing's reply. If the spirit tribe was really that easy to find, the mighty Chang sword sect wouldn't only have so many divine refining techniques. It doesn't matter, Lin just asked casually, it's not important. Quote. The two chatted for a while. It's almost time to meet. Lindsay said goodbye to Shui Jianqing and left his Tianjian palace. As soon as Lindsay left, a familiar figure immediately followed him. The person who came was dressed casually in Xingyi, and at first glance he had a special lazy air. In this sword sect, apart from Hongtian, there should be no second person. Hongtian followed, but did nothing or said a word. He just followed Lindsay silently. Quote. Lindsay was speechless. What do you want to do? Hongtian immediately said, it's okay. Just keep going. Leave me alone. I'll study how you practice. I'll look back and see if it works. Lindsay. Good guy, you are trying to get me involved. Even the immortal body is rolled up these days. Lindsay walked towards the forbidden area speechlessly. Hongtian followed immediately. The two of them stayed in silence. Nearly arrived at the gate of the forbidden area. Hongtian suddenly said, are you looking for high-level spiritual people? Quote. Dog ears are pretty good. Hongtian twitched the corner of his mouth. What dog ears? Nothing in this world can stop the destiny. Even if it's a holy weapon, except for the ghostly Canshan sword, I'll always recruit them. Hearing Hongtian's words, Lindsay suddenly felt something in his heart. Yes, Hongtian is a destiny immortal body. How could he forget this? So he turned around and asked, then can you summon a copy of the Spirit Clan's holy refining method? Hongtian's expression froze. The holy law of the returning Spirit Clan. Do you think I am omnipotent? Is not it? Quote. Hongtian's expression instantly became very exciting. He pinched his nose and said something. Of course. But why should I help you? Are you trying to help your enemy? It seems that you can't do it. If you don't do it, you should have told me earlier. It's a waste of my time. Quote. It belongs to your uncle. Okay, just wait. Quote. Are you serious? Hongtian glanced at Lindsay. Fake. Quote. Lindsay rolled his eyes and walked directly to the forbidden area of Zhanzong. At this time, Hongtian said again, don't be anxious. Seriously this time, the Spirit Clan's divine refining method you want, is impossible at the saint level. The destiny and cause of the Spirit Clan's holy method is greater than that of the holy soldier. With my current state, I can't handle it for the time being. But it's trivial to choose the best ones at the prefecture level or whatever. You can pick whatever you like. Hit wherever you point. Quote. Before he finished speaking, Hongtian suddenly said, but you also have to do me a favor. Lindsay was speechless. This is the real purpose of following me, right? In such a big circle. Just say whether you want to do it or not. First tell me what you can do for me. Hongtian pointed to the sky. Help me get the immortal book of destiny. Destiny scripture. Listen to the name format, and look at Hongtian's attitude. I guess this Destiny Immortal Sutra is an exclusive technique for the Destiny Immortal body, right? In this case, Lindsay's heart moved. Hongtian spread his hands and said helplessly, there is no way, you are too perverted. If you don't find a way to get the Immortal Book of Destiny, I won't be able to fight with you in the future. Speaking of the immortal scripture of destiny, Hongtian glanced at Lin Zi again, and I guess you have already obtained the immortal scripture of 10,000 laws, right? Otherwise, how could you have done it so quickly? The previous generation of Wanfa immortal body was really kind. It allowed you to get the immortal sutra so early. Unlike my senior, he threw the immortal sutra directly into the boundary river for me. You're so stupid. Boundary river. Lin Zi thought for a while. Okay. Deal. But it will have to wait for a while, I still have some things to deal with. Hongtian shrugged. Okay, I've been waiting for so long, it doesn't matter if I wait a few more days. When you're ready, just say hello to me. Lin Zi nodded and walked directly into the sword sect's forbidden area. After Lin Zi left, Hongtian's face gradually turned cold. He looked somewhere. Just because he doesn't want to care about you, doesn't mean you can be arrogant. Get out of here. Boom. After Hongtian finished speaking, a thunder in the void turned into countless law chains to grab a hidden shadow in the void. The shadow's clothing was scantily clad, with lust written all over his body, and he was naturally charming. This person is exactly Miaoyu. Hongtian grasped the void, locked the wonderful desire in the air, and hung it in the air. Hongtian's murderous intent is fierce. Shit, I don't know what you're planning. But I tell you, he is my opponent and my immortal brother. How dare mortals covet the Lord with an immortal body? If you have any tricks or ideas, put them away for me. Otherwise, no matter who is behind you, I will kill you. Having said that, Hongtian waved his hand and directly drove the defenseless Miaoyu into the deep layers of the earth, falling into a deep sinkhole. Snort. Hongtian turned around and said coldly, remember my words. Otherwise it won't be as simple as a warning next time. After saying that, Hongtian turned into a thunder. With a muffled sound that shook the void, it disappeared without a trace. Long after Hongtian left, deep in the sword sect's land, Miaoyu, with messy hair and an embarrassed face, slowly revealed his figure. She looked at the direction Hongtian was leaving, and then at the location of the sword sect's forbidden area. Miaoyu stroked the hair on her forehead, her eyes were as charming as spring water, showing a look that made me feel pity for her. Regardless of the stinky man, his immortal body is amazing. Snort. I won't do anything to him. He is everything I have. After saying that, Miaoyu looked in the direction of the Jian sect's forbidden area with a look of resentment. Originally, I wanted you to know about my marriage to you this time. A stinky man who doesn't understand amorous feelings. With a faint sigh, Miaoyu turned around and left. Sword sect's forbidden land. This is a lightless sword tomb. There was darkness. Only occasionally a few magic weapons emitted a cold light in the darkness, illuminating the surroundings, making the darkness vaguely visible. Lin Zi stepped into the sword tomb. Under the attention of a buried sword, he entered the depths of the sword tomb. As Lin Zi went deeper and deeper into the sword tomb, the light surrounding the buried swords is getting stronger and stronger. Along the way, it was as if the street lamps were lit, rendering a road to the sky. Lin Zi reflected the light of these buried swords, and he had a deeper understanding of the sword in his heart. And as these kendo insights emerged, in the sword tomb, some sharp blades that were as bright as new began to shine. They echo, call, long for. I hope Lin Zi can get them out of trouble and save them from this sea of sword tombs. Vaguely, Lin Zi could even hear Wang Jian wailing in his ears. Help me, save me out, I can make you achieve the holy realm. Make you invincible in the world. Unlock my seal, and I will give you the endless power to slaughter the world. You and I can achieve great things. I can give you everything you want. Quote. The demonic sound of the sword echoed in Lin Zi's mind, constantly trying to arouse the demonic nature in his heart. And those so-called insights into the way of swordsmanship have become obsessions, constantly eroding Lin Zi's bottom line. Quote. Lin Zi now understood why this was the forbidden area of the sword sect. Regarding these devil swords, and the thoughts of the sword demon, when ordinary disciples come, who wouldn't be confused and make mistakes. The magic here is so strong. Just as Lin Zi was lamenting the magical nature of Zhanzhang, there was a sound of shaking chains. The crisp sound of chains hitting was heard. All the magic was instantly wiped away. The demon swords who were clamoring to slaughter the world just now were like mice meeting cats, becoming silent and losing their light. You came a lot faster than I thought. Child, come here. The ancient voice of the half-saint that had gone through many vicissitudes over the years reached Lindsay's ears, guiding Lindsay's path forward. A road composed of countless nine-color sword energy leads directly to the core of the sword tomb with no end. Lindsay came with a thought. As soon as he entered the core of the sword tomb, Lindsay suddenly paused. This is. In front of Lindsay's eyes, 5 towering giant swords stood in the dark void of the sword tomb. A sword entwines the energy of the 5 elements rotation, interpreting the principle of the 5 elements mutual generation and mutual restraint to evolve the world. A sword rises with the power of yin and yang of life and death, sometimes white, sometimes dark, fully interpreting the mystery of yin and yang of life and death. A sword foretells the rotation of day and night, the changes of the sun and the moon. Sometimes the sun shines brightly, creating a long river and setting sun. Sometimes the moon shines brightly, and the moon rises over the sea. A sword is filled with supreme edge, and the tip of the sword shines with a peerless sword light that can tear the sky and break the heaven and the earth. During the slight vibration of the sword light, it seemed as if there were countless sharp thorns filling the world. The sharp edges were exposed, making the skin ache and the whole body feel cold. A sword releases the invincible power of Dao Lin Tianxia and ties on. The majesty breeds the magic that transforms decay into magic. And these 5 swords are all peerless holy weapons that can tear apart an area and release the infinite power of the saint. Each of them is stronger than the Kanshin sword that Lindsay glimpsed when he fought with Hongtian. Even more terrifying. At this time, the sound of shaking chains emerged. You should understand these 5 swords. Lindsay turned around. Semi-Saint Qinghe manifested his true body from the dark void. As soon as he appeared, the entire sword tomb suddenly trembled. The void is turbulent. The earth is mourning. Even the ubiquitous darkness made a frightening phantom sound. The walls of this world have tightened in awe of him, becoming fragile and on the verge of breaking. This is much better than the half-saint Lindsay saw in Daoji Mountain. Too much. The two are not on the same level at all. Obviously, this is the real Semi-Saint Qinghe. That time at Daoji Mountain, I'm afraid it was just a trace of his will or a projection. After seeing the true form of Semi-Saint Qinghe, Lindsay also understood one thing. Half-saint, Qinghe is definitely more than just a half-saint. As the bloodline of Qingsheng, the most powerful person in ancient times, how can he be ordinary? Lindsay bowed to the Semi-Saint. He said, the bright moon rises in the sea of New Moon Mansion. Kantian Dao sects Kantian intention, Yin Yang Zan sects Yin and Yang changes, Chang sword sects. The secrets of the 9 sects are all contained in these 5 swords. And it is said that the forbidden area of the sword sect enshrines the holy weapons left by the ancient Qing sage. After Lindsay finished speaking, he glanced at the semi-sage and said, if the disciple guessed correctly, I am afraid that the 9 sects of Qingyu today all originated from the ancestor of Qingsheng. The half-saint smiled. This is a story that happened in ancient times, very far away. In the past, my ancestor Qingshengong participated in creation and was able to break through the great avenues of heaven and earth, and created 9 unparalleled holy methods that shook the world. He passed these 9 holy laws to his own children and 8 disciples respectively, and this is how the 9 sects of Qingyu came into being. And this is what outsiders don't understand, the real reason why my ancestor gave the collected holy weapons to the other 8 sects. Hearing this, Lindsay's heart skipped a beat. 9 holy laws. I know you have many doubts in your mind. It's still a long time, so I'll talk to you one by one. The first is the realm of saints. After thinking for a while, the half-saint said, do you know what the holy realm is? Thousands of thoughts. The semi-saint nodded. Everyone in the world says that a saint has thousands of thoughts. As everyone knows, one thought with thousands of thoughts is invisible. The invisible is freed from the shackles of the body, transforms between heaven and earth, sings in harmony with all things, clearly understands the changes in cause and effect, time and space, and reincarnation of heaven and earth, and lives the same life as heaven and earth. This is invisible. Beyond the formless, there is no form. The formless one transcends the worldly existence, and the obtained reality is as it is. In the formless one, everything is false, and cause and effect, time and space are all in vain. Therefore, the heaven and earth die, and the formless one is immortal. Be transcended. And above formlessness, it is without beginning or end. Those who have no beginning and no end, wipe out the roots and end without stains. As for how to interpret this sentence, Qinghe semi-saint held his hand and pulled out a small time and space river from the endless void as an example, teaching material. Lin Zi could even see the microcosm of the Qingyu millennium in this long river of time and space. See the rotation of the world for thousands of years. But Lin Zi was not surprised. As early as the moment he saw the true form of half-saint Qinghe, he knew that the only descendant of the ancient Qingsage was by no means as simple as a half-saint. When we first explored the path of no beginning and no end, Tianlin people generally believed that no beginning and no end was a cycle. Saying this, half-saint Qinghe connected the beginning and end of this long river of time and space. Look, just like this, your life has become a closed circle, with no starting point and no end point, or in other words, every point is the starting point and the end point. So in this closed loop of time, have you achieved no beginning and no end? Without waiting for Lin Zi to answer, Qinghe half-saint then extended the long river of time and space from the closed circle to trace the front edge. Although I don't like those bald men in the Western Buddhist world, they have a saying about the beginningless one that deeply resonates with me. He said that all living beings and dharmas in the world have no beginning. The current life comes from the causes and conditions of the previous life, and the previous life also comes from the previous life. In this way, the origin of all living beings and dharmas cannot be obtained. Therefore, it's called beginningless. That is to say, you have past lives, and past lives have past lives, and past lives have connections with past lives. Past lives are infinite. You have reached a closed loop in this period of time and space, but what about the previous life? In this life, you are from Tianlin. In the previous life, you were from the realm of magic or the realm of lawlessness. Lin Zi, this is to the point. All dharmas and realms have causes. Semi-saint Qinghe took a big hand and crushed the front part of the time and space river into pieces. If I crush the long river here, the riverbed will dry up and there will be no flow. Therefore, we Tianlin finally abandoned the closed loop of world and time and space, and returned to the word, me, without beginning or end. Thus, our Tianlin saint system was finally established. Qinghe created a small black spot in the long river of time and space. It drifts in the long river of time and space, represents a self and a life journey. This me is the acquired me, just go with the flow. Then, the little black dot stayed in the long river again, competing with the waves in the river. This me is the me who has entered the innate world, seen the truth of the world, and pursued the hinterland of heaven. Then the small black dot disappeared, or in other words, it filled the entire length of time and space, everywhere. This me is the invisible me. I am everywhere, I am everywhere. With a wave of the half-saint and green saint's big hand, the little black dot left the long river of time and space again, jumped out of the long river, sat and watched the wind and clouds in the river, and watched the ebb and flow of the tide. This me is a formless me. I am transcendent and have left the concepts of world and time and space. Time, space and world have become illusory to me. So, I returned to myself and saw 2 points in I. Semi-saint Qinghe wiped away the long river of time and space. That little black dot split in the void and turned into 2 dots. One is the starting point and the other is the end point. If I erase the starting point at this time, then there will be no previous life in the world, and there will be no endless previous lives. I will have no roots, no origin, and no beginning. This is the beginningless one. Semi-saint Qinghe's eyes became profound. His eyes seemed to penetrate the endless void and saw some rats lurking in the shadows. And this is the biggest secret of our Qingyu. After saying this, the half-saint was silent for a long time. He glanced at Lin Zi with complicated eyes. There's a lot involved in this secret. It contains supreme cause and effect. If you want to inherit my mantle, you will be involved in this shocking whirlpool that started with my ancestor Qingsheng. The hardships involved are unpredictable. So I give you 3 choices. It was originally 2 choices, but your performance exceeded my expectations, so you are qualified to choose the 3rd way. Lin Zi said quickly, please tell me. The half-saint said, first, leave the Qingyu, a land of right and wrong, and avoid the disaster of the Qingyu. I will give you letters of recommendation from the best saints in other areas of Tianlin. Wherever you want to go, let you go straight to the core and practice the holy laws of other areas. Lin Zi was unmoved. The half-saint smiled silently. He continued, second, inherit my mantle, you can choose any of the 9 sects of Taoist fruits. Daoguo, finally come. Lin Zi's eyes flashed and he asked, what is the Tao fruit? The half-saint waved his hand, and 9 light groups appeared on his hand. These 9 light groups shine with scenes such as the 5 elements, yin and yang, the sunset over the long river, and the bright moon on the sea. They respectively correspond to the true meaning of the 9 sects of Qingyu. This is the Tao fruit. It is the condensation of the holy way. Without it, there would be no so-called holy law in the world. The half-sage said, every saint is the ultimate person of their own path, and their existence is the incarnation of their respective path. If there is a saint who enters the Tao with fire, then the fire in the world will come under his sect. If there is another person who enters the Tao of fire, unless that saint voluntarily gives up the Tao fruit, or lets the Tao fruit scatter in heaven and earth. Otherwise, no matter how much you study the holy law of fire, you will never be able to become a saint in your lifetime. In other words, the semi-sage's words were full of temptation. As long as this Tao fruit is transformed, the long river sunset you practice can automatically become a holy method and guide the road to sainthood. Lin Zi was not happy when he heard this. Instead, he frowned. If that's the case, then why? The half-saint smiled. Very good, you haven't been carried away by the power of Tao fruit. He went on to explain, as a descendant of my ancestor Qingsheng, I have no need for Tao fruit. My ancestor's bloodline is far stronger than the power of Tao fruit. As he said that, the half-saint glanced at Lin Zi jokingly. I am the real reason why as a half-saint, I have power that far exceeds that of a half-saint. Let me go. Is the Qingsheng bloodline so important? Others cross realms, but you directly cross the level of life. Because my ancestor, Qingsheng, is the only beginningless person in ancient times. The world calls him the most holy name. Quote. 6. It is precisely because of this that our Qingyu is coveted by so many powerful people. They all want to break through the secrets left by my ancestors and see the power of beginninglessness. Lin Zi asked again, since Qingsheng has reached such a state, where did he go in the end? Why did he set an absolute Taoist ban for Qingyu? The half-saint shook his head. No one knows the answer to this question. Back then, he just left behind a mountain of Tao tribulation, set an absolute Tao ban and then disappeared. The world has deduced the footprints of my ancestors, but my ancestors have long since lost their roots and origins, and there is no way to start. Even those who are formless and formless only know that there is a sage named Qingkang in the world, but they don't know where the name Qingkang comes from, and they don't know who the sage Qingkang is. He has no beginning, no roots, and no ancestry. Wu Yuan. Even if I use my own blood as the root and work with a saint friend of mine who is good at divine deduction to deduce the traces of my ancestors, the answer I get is staggering. Feedback from heaven. My bloodline comes from nothing and has no source. Look, it's obviously true, but the great Tao has denied it. You're telling lies with your eyes open. You don't recognize the laws of nature, and the Tao doesn't exist. This is the realm called beginningless. Speaking of this, Semi-Saint Qinghe couldn't help but feel a trace of emotion towards the realm of the beginningless one. And this naturally further stimulates the desire of those formless and formless people for the beginningless realm. A whirlpool of calculations surrounding Qingyu begins. The half-saint recounted, at the beginning, they were still afraid of my ancestors' remaining power and did not dare to move. We can only travel through the long river of time and space and change the course of history to repeatedly observe the past, present and future, and determine whether our ancestors have left, or whether we treat heaven and earth equally and do not contaminate all things with the heart of, the world is unkind and treats all things as rotten dogs. And as time goes by, countless twists and turns of fate unfold. In these hundreds of millions of years of time and space, they have seen countless changes and countless causes and effects, but they have not observed the existence of my ancestor Qingkang, the holy saint. So, they finally decided to take action for the first time and test Qingyu. And the first person to take action. I don't know if she was the first, but she was the first one I noticed. She is the leader of the demon cult 8,000 years ago. This man is also an amazingly talented person. Under the absolute Taoist prohibition imposed by my ancestor, no true body or incarnation of a being above the saint level can enter the Qingyu. But she somehow managed to circumvent the Taoist prohibition and quietly created a demon fetus in Qingyu. But me, The semi-saint sighed, I am not a saint. I cannot truly stay outside of transcendence for a long time and observe the river of time at any time, let alone play games with her. Therefore, it is difficult to observe and detect her behavior. This may not be easy for you to understand. Having said this, the half-saint paused. To put it more clearly, the game between the formless saints is like playing chess, and both sides are playing clear chess. It means that I can see countless changes in the future, and you can also see countless changes in the future. Whoever will be in Qingyu in the future, and who will appear in the future, are all under the watchful eye of the Faceless One. Even the words I'm telling you now are very likely to have been seen by a person without form as early as 100 million years ago. So the game between the faceless people is all about calculation and seeing who is better. But I'm not even a saint, so how can I always play chess, and how can I accurately see the opponent's move? Therefore, that demon fetus grew rapidly in the Qing territory and developed a huge fire-worshipping demon sect. It wants to annex the 9 sects of our Qing territory and solve the mystery of the Tao Tribulation Mountain. By the time I realized the true face of the demon fetus, I had already entered the game and suffered wounds like maggots attached to my bones. The half-saint sighed in his heart as he recounted the past events. Since then, I have realized that the great saints have laid plans for Qingyu. So I burned my ancestral bloodline regardless of Tao damage, and forcibly observed time and space for 8,000 years. In order to break the Qingyu situation. Speaking of this, Semi-Saint Qinghe looked helpless, and this is probably the result she wants. But I knew that this might be her plan, but I had to accompany her into it. Nahi. After sighing, the half-saint fell silent. Lindsay could probably understand the half-saint's mood. That is a kind of helplessness and powerlessness in the face of the formless person. After a moment of silence, the half-saint added, but fortunately, I finally got something from burning my bloodline this time. I saw a change in 8,000 years of time and space. This change happened 18 years ago. 18 years ago, 2 young phoenixes suddenly broke into our Qingyu for some unknown reason. An invisible being will hunt them down according to the established time and space. The phoenix among them will die, and the phoenix essence will scatter to the sky and the earth. The phoenix will take advantage of the phoenix's sacrifice to escape into the endless void. From then on, he will be favored by the great luck of Qingyu, and he will destroy our Qing dynasty under the deliberate promotion and arrangement of many scheming people. The legendary life of the Taoist. However, it has changed. The secret of heaven has suddenly changed. One day 18 years ago, the secret of heaven suddenly got confused. All the planned journeys were destroyed by an unexpected arrival. 18 years ago, the phoenix that was supposed to die survived, but the phoenix that was supposed to destroy my Qingyu Taoist restriction was destroyed. When Lindsay heard this, his eyes suddenly lit up. His previous guess was indeed right. The reason why Wutong became Wutong was not that he came to the wrong world, but that the world line changed unexpectedly and the wrong person died. Since then, the time and space in Qingyu has become chaotic and has entered a period of change that is difficult to observe. Already weak, I am even more unable to guess the changes in time and space, find it difficult to find the root cause, and can no longer detect the variables. But I think this is a good thing, because I can't observe it, which means those scheming faceless people probably can't observe it either. At least, they need to spend more effort to rearrange the layout. I think maybe this is one of the backups my ancestor Qingsheng left for Qingyu. After all, I always believe in something. The half-sage said, what a formless person can see, my ancestor Qingsheng can only see more and see more clearly. Every move they make may be a move that my ancestor expected and made deliberately. Unless my ancestor is no longer stained by anything, he doesn't care whether his Qingyu is alive or dead. If this is really the case, then I can only say that I will try my best. Whether Qingyu lives or dies depends entirely on God's will. After all, it all depends on God's will. The half-saint was a little silent again. The endless chain stretching 3,000 feet in the void trembled slightly. Obviously, he didn't want to listen to God's will. After all, Qingyu is his persistence for hundreds of millions of years, and his hard work of forcibly observing time and space for 8,000 years. Lindsay didn't know how to comfort the half-saint. He knew nothing about Qingsheng's life. A long time. The half-saint gathered his thoughts. As people get older, they gossip more. Let's get back to the topic. In short, since the phoenix replaced the phoenix, I have been waiting for changes to appear. I have been waiting for 18 years, but there is no result, but I don't have much time to wait anymore. So I took the initiative to find the existence of variables through this Daoji Mountain selection. Because as a variable, even if the variable cannot enter Daoji Mountain, those faceless people behind the scenes will find a way to send him in. That's why I saw you. Chapter 91. Semi-Saint Qinghai said, I told you as early as Daoji Mountain that you possess her magic power. That little phoenix should have learned this true fire holy demon technique, but now it has fallen on you. Obviously, she picked you. But there were many people at that time, so I couldn't say much. Except for me, no one else knew about the situation in Qingyu, so as not to cause a big chaos. At that time, you were only at the peak of the divine sea, so you couldn't compete with me, let alone the leader of the demon cult and other unknown entrants who were better than me. So I asked you to go to Mingshuan. Once you have the qualifications to touch the forbidden area, you can come to the forbidden area and tell you the cause and effect. But I never thought. Semi-Saint Qinghai touched his beard and looked at Linzi with a hint of disbelief in his eyes. Thinking that he, the half-sage Qinghai, was of the bloodline of the Green Saint, had participated in the creation of nature in his lifetime, and had seen all the vicissitudes of the Qing territory. But he has never seen a genius as dazzling as Linzi in the history of mankind. The 18-year-old Mingshuan Daxian. With such an achievement, even the 9 immortals of the great Tao seemed to be out of reach in front of him. Such people, the half-saint couldn't tell where he came from, and whether he had an immortal body or not. But he knows that this is a variable. Just this is enough. ... You actually came a little faster, far beyond my expectation. And it also managed to leave a name on the heaven and earth as mentioned in ancient legends. Do you know that to leave a name on this world, throughout the entire ancient times, no one except my ancestor Qing Kang can do it? In other words, you are the second Qing sage. Linzi said nothing. A cheating life requires no explanation. The half-saint didn't ask further questions, and he didn't have the extra energy to do so. Right now, he has reached the point where he is desperate. So, the half-saint waved his hand. The 9 Tao fruits disappeared. In their place are the 5 holy weapons of the beginningless one that have exhausted the 9 mysteries. They transformed from towering giant swords to the size of normal swords, floating in front of Linzi, showing their supreme power to destroy the world. You deserve a third choice. Inherit the true inheritance of my ancestors, the 10th holy method. And the 10th door. I only heard Qinghai half-saint say, I don't know if it was some kind of accident of chance or one of the backup plans my ancestor left for Qingyu. Let's call it his inheritance. In short, during the hundreds of millions of years since these 5 holy weapons were enshrined in the sword tomb, they absorbed the defeat, killing, and despair of countless swords, thus creating a force that integrated all 9 mysteries to create a new avenue. Good fortune. This creation combines the 9 mysteries and is refined with hundreds of millions of years of demonic power. It has immeasurable potential. If you can fully understand and perfect this power, the path to formlessness will not be far away from you, and you may even be able to see the realm of beginninglessness. As soon as he finished speaking, the half-saint mentioned the shortcomings of this path again, but the third path is difficult. It is difficult to understand, difficult to integrate and perfect, and it is even harder to resist the demonic nature absorbed by the 5 holy weapons for hundreds of millions of years. If you're not careful, you will go crazy and lose your spirit, and fall into the devil's path. This is the disadvantage of the third option. Compared with the second road to 100% sanctification, it is indeed more bumpy. Linzi took over the conversation directly, but it's more promising than the second option, isn't it? The half-saint smiled and nodded, not bad. Although the second road is 100% sanctified, it is a road that has been blocked. Although my ancestor has surpassed the limitation of the word Tao fruit, these 9 Tao fruits were made by him and originated from him. He also transcended from the path of these 9 Tao fruits. So once you use these 9 Tao fruits, it is equivalent to the road ahead being cut off. You cannot transcend through these 9 Tao fruits. You can only be an invisible person in this life. Unless my ancestor has fallen and the way of transcendence reappears. You, think about it carefully. After the half-saint finished speaking, He said no more and waited for Lindsay to make a choice. Lindsay glanced at the 5 holy weapons. The half-saint gave 3 choices, but for Lindsay there was actually only one. The first one must be passed directly. The inheritance of my own Qing domain is the strongest, so there is no need to go to other domains. Although the second option would 100% make Lindsay a saint, the road ahead was cut off. With his cheating life, it was definitely not worth choosing this path. Although Lindsay's God-level comprehension level 6 can steal Dao fruit and keep it as his own, Qingsheng's realm has obviously surpassed the word Dao fruit. Lindsay didn't want to gamble on such uncertain things. And even if you can steal it. The half-saint gave away Lindsay Daoguo for free, but then he stole the ancestor's house. What he did was not a human thing. Naturally, the third way is Lindsay's best choice. The third way of understanding is difficult to perfect, but it is not difficult at all if it is the professional counterpart of Lindsay. But Lindsay was more concerned about a doubt than choosing which path to take. Actually, disciple has a question. You say, you have 9 Dao fruits, why don't you use them? Lindsay asked, you also said just now that you are not a saint, and that's why you fell at a disadvantage in the confrontation with the powerful powers of the outside world. If you use the Dao fruit and then use the power of Qingsheng's bloodline to govern Qingyu, how can the people from outside succeed? Although the 9 Dao fruits are limited. But now that we have reached this point, will the half-saint still care about the invisible limit of 9 Dao fruits for life? Lindsay didn't believe it. Moreover, if he could break through the saints on his own, the semi-saints would have broken through hundreds of millions of years ago. How could he wait until now? There must be some inside story here. After hearing what Lindsay said, the half-saint was not surprised. He pointed to the chains on his body. This is why I don't use Dao fruit. Qingyu was banned by my ancestors. Dao banned, Dao banned, Dao banned. The rules above the saint level are equivalent to being removed from the Qingyu by my ancestor. How can something that doesn't exist be used? Under this ban, not only people from outside the realm will be affected, but also our own people in Qingyu. So even if there is a Dao fruit, it is just a useless thing that has been denied. Half-saints are the highest authority that I can obtain if I have the bloodline of my ancestor Qingsheng. What else did Lindsay want to say? The half-saint continued, don't worry, just like I said that the blood of the green saint will allow me to obtain the position of a half-saint, and mobilize the great karma of the green territory to snipe the leader of the demon cult. Taojin comes from Qingsheng. This is the root of Qingyu Taoist prohibition. The half-saint's ancient vicissitudes of vision penetrated infinite time and space. It seems that I am tracing someone's footsteps in time and space, seeking a puzzling answer from him. Actually, it's the green saint's blood in my body. Hearing this, Lindsay was suddenly startled. He understands what half-saint means. Semi-saint Qinghe looked at Lindsay steadily. The light in his eyes was stronger than ever before. It doesn't matter which way you choose. The day you become enlightened will be the day I die. The day you become enlightened is the day I die. This green saint's blood is such a big joke. Lindsay was about to say something. The half-saint raised his hand and stopped him. You don't have to persuade me anymore. Since I entered the game, my Taoist injuries have become worse day by day. Even if I don't take the initiative to become immortal and practice meditation, it will only take more than 1,000,000 years in the blink of an eye. Sooner or later, it might as well be that I, Qinghe, have made a person like you who has never been seen before in the ages. This is my greatest contribution to Qingyu in my life. Only, the chains surrounding the half-saint began to tremble. His eyes also became extremely complicated. Since the distant ancestor Qingsheng left, he has guarded the Qing territory for hundreds of millions of years. He has always guarded the Qingyu, a holy land that belongs exclusively to the strongest Tianlin. But what exactly was he guarding? It's just, someday, if you have the opportunity to reach the same state, you can see him in the infinite time and space of all realms. Please ask me, why? The reason for this sentence is extremely complicated. Lindsay was silent for a while. I promise you. That's good, that's good. The half-saint sighed twice, that's good, and then he closed his eyes. Think about it carefully. There's still time, don't be in a hurry, you can give it more time to think about it. Lindsay shook his head, no need to think about it, I've already thought about it. Disciple chooses the third option. Good. The half-saint nodded and waved his hand. Whoosh. A simple sword box condensed in the void. Immediately afterwards, 5 holy weapons of the beginningless one flew into the sword box and sealed them. Buzz. As an overwhelming shock wave swept across. The holy soldier finally calmed down. It floated quietly in front of Lin Zi. From now on, these 5 holy weapons are passed on to you. You can carry them with you and gain enlightenment at any time. Just remember to be careful of the demonic nature and use the power of the holy weapon with caution. Lin Zi. Quote. You're going to pass it on directly. This is the holy weapon of the beginningless one. The half-saint said, sooner or later, this holy weapon will be passed on to you. One day, if my Tao collapses and the Taoist prohibition collapses, those people hiding behind the scenes will definitely take heavy action. It will not be easy for you to contend with them when you have just entered the invisible realm. With the holy soldier of the beginningless one by your side, you won't be too passive and can protect yourself in the twists and turns. Secondly, the holy soldiers will accompany you day and night, which can help you comprehend the profound meaning of the 10th holy method faster and condense your own Tao fruit. Okay, I've said everything that needs to be said. The rest of the way is up to you, kid. It's not advisable to stay in this sword tomb for a long time. You can go ahead. Quote. Lin Zi was silent for a moment, saluted the old man who had been guarding Qingyu for hundreds of millions of years, took the ancient sword box, carried it behind his back, and left the sword tomb. Afterwards, silence fell in the sword tomb. Only the remaining swords emitted a magical light. Leaving the sword tomb, Lin Zi found a sparsely populated and clean forest in Zhanzong and sat down. He opened the sword box behind him, slightly revealing the sword light inside. In an instant, the sky is dark and the earth is dark. The storm is rising. Endless light of law shines from that tiny opening. The fierce sword light tears the heaven and the earth apart. Just a hint of sharpness revealed from the sword box had already filled the void near Lin Zi with cracks. It is unimaginable that if all the sword boxes were opened and all the holy weapons were unsheathed, what horrific changes would occur. It is indeed the only holy weapon left by the beginningless one in ancient times. After Lin Zi sighed, he sunk his mind into the sword box, carefully comprehending the 9 kinds of mysteries and demonic nature, and pondered over and over again. God level understanding level 6 activated. You have discovered the wonderful fusion changes of the 9 mysteries of yin and yang, the 5 elements, the sun and the moon, inspired by the demonic nature of the sword tomb. You have discovered the 10th way of creation that is being nurtured. You clearly understand the true meaning of this way. If this method is perfect and complete, the grade can reach the middle level of heaven, pointing directly to the path of formlessness. You try to perfect it and deduce it. It is expected that after 30 days, this method can be perfected and the heaven level mid-level exercise, 9 extremes of the holy method, can be obtained. That's it. Just like the previous completion of the Fantasy Moon 7 Stars record. What a simple thing. 30 days later, he will be a formless saint. And it's still a higher level, LV10. When the time comes, together with these 5 holy weapons of the beginningless one, and the completely perfected ancient bloodline of the 8 desolations, let me ask how you are worthy of fighting me. Lin Zi's eyes burst out with a bright light. It's time to close the net. After saying that, Lin Zi put away the sword box and put it on his back again. He took 1 step forward, and in a flash, he returned to the Wagwang realm. At the same time, a red spirit seal flew towards the red spirit tribe. A spiritual sound spread to Hongtian. Sekure clan. Kai Fei Hong received Lin Zi's seal. Coming. When the elders of the Skilling tribe heard this, their hearts were agitated. What did that person say? Whether to kill the phoenix and get its blood, or to regain the friendship of the Phoenix clan, it all depends on today. Let's kill him. Kill that phoenix, the one with the big head, and we can get some blood and feathers and so on. Ha ha ha, I became famous on the day I killed the phoenix. Our luck in the Red Spirit clan has reached its peak in recent years. Quote. Kai Fei Hong glanced at everyone and took in everyone's gaze. How? Say it quickly. Kai Fei Hong said calmly, the meaning of that person is temporarily unknown. He asked me to follow him to the Wagwang realm, and use the special perception of the Chilling tribe to find the phoenix first and ask for some important information. That's it. That's fine. Fei Hong, you go first. Remember, you must let that person feel the sincerity of our Red Spirit clan, and you must not offend him. Kai Fei Hong sighed in his heart. It's a pity that some people no longer have sincerity. Lin Zi's meaning was indeed what Kai Fei Hong expressed just now, without revealing any intention. But he also said something else. Take note of those who support killing phoenixes to obtain their blood. Although there was only such a sentence, Kai Fei Hong already understood the meaning of Lin Zi's words. As a subordinate clan of the Phoenix clan, the Skilling clan actually wants to kill their master. If you can betray Phoenix today, then one day you can betray me, Lin Zi. I don't know what will happen to those who intend to kill Huang today, but it is certain that they will not be reused by Lin Zi. Yes, father. After that, Kai Fei Hong turned into a red light and left the blue sky realm. Why are you here? Wog Wong Jing Baikan Sky. Lin Zi glanced at Hongtian and said, I didn't mean that I still have to deal with some things. I estimate that I will go to the Jiehe River with you to fish for the immortal scripture in about 7 days. Hongtian spread his hands and said, it doesn't matter, it's boring to stay in Zhanzong anyway, so I came here to have some fun to pass the time. I have to say, it's not in vain. It's quite interesting here. It's the first time for even me, the immortal body of destiny, to see such a chaotic destiny. Lin Zi raised his eyebrows. How messy is it? Oh, how messy is it? Hongtian glanced at the land of Baikan at his feet. It's a complete mess. You are about to be stabbed into a sieve by others. You can actually come out of this place. Good boy, which one of us is the destined immortal body? Quote. Tell me carefully. Hongtian felt it carefully. One of the auras of destiny is full of demonic nature, and the demonic flames are overwhelming. Don't even hide it. If I'm right, this should be the leader of the demon cult who was able to fight with the semi-saint back then. But why is this destiny aura so weird? It doesn't look like the veins a complete person should have. Instead, it looks like. Hongtian thought for a while. Then he raised his eyebrows and said, slightly surprised. Mad, a saint actually sneaked in. No wonder that thing can compete with the blood of Qing Shang. Can you see this? After just one visit, I was able to sense this secret that only half-saints knew. Tisk tisk, the destiny immortal body is an immortal body after all. Thinking like this, Lin Zi suddenly wanted to accompany Hongtian to fish for the immortal scripture now. Having such a top-notch Taoist physique, doesn't it mean that you have a full map? Hearing the surprise in Lin Zi's words, Hongtian raised his head slightly proudly, but he was better than this pervert at a certain point. Oh, I've said it before, there are no secrets in the world in front of my destiny, it's a small matter, it's a small matter. Quote. After saying that, Hongtian was suddenly stunned again. Hey, wait a moment, what you said, you already knew this. Not much earlier than you. Oh, Hongtian then breathed a sigh of relief, the half-saint must have told you this, it scared me. Go on, who else is there besides the leader of the demon cult? Hongtian continued to sense, and, what's wrong? Hongtian glanced at Lin Zi with a strange expression, give me a pillow if you feel sleepy. There seems to be the aura of the spirit race you are looking for in here. It's weird, the spirit clan has always been secretive and independent. They never interfered in the affairs of Tianlin and other realms. Now they have ended up here. What's so good about this place? Could it be that you have some incredible creature buried underneath? Hearing this, Lin Zi's eyes narrowed slightly. Eldar. Who is it? Hongtian shook his head. I don't know, this spirit clan is different from the demon sect leader. This guy hides very deeply and has a very light breath. It's like he has gone through millions of differentiations. If I weren't a destiny immortal body, I wouldn't be able to do it at all. You can't even notice this guy. Others. Hongtian pinched his chin, it's getting more and more interesting. The little phoenix that escaped 18 years ago actually appeared here. What a geomantic treasure. It's so hidden. Anything else? There are still a few abnormal strands of destiny, but they are all very faint, even lighter than that of the spirit tribe. I can't tell them at all. I only know that they have also tampered with them here. Lin Zi probably knew what was going on. I understand, thank you. After saying that, Lin Zi's eyes fell on the Lin family compound. At a glance, the Lin family compound is heavily guarded, and all Lin family troops are on combat readiness, ready to go. It looks like the Lin family is about to start a war. This made Lin Zi frown, and his face instantly turned cold. He had only left the Lin family for 2 months, but something happened to the Lin family. Lin Zi appeared in the Lin family courtyard with a thought, and his figure turned into countless particles and reorganized in front of Xiaoqui and others. Xiaoqui, Linmo and others were shocked. Young master. You are the young master. Several people gathered around him in surprise. Master, you are finally back. It's great that you're okay. Lin Zi was puzzled. What can happen to me? Xiaoqui said, Master, you don't know. A few days ago we saw golden lotuses blooming on the ground, and then your face appeared in the sky, and then you were locked in an ancient book, which scared us. We thought you were involved in the trap of the innate god man and were framed. Are we in no hurry to summon an army to rescue you? In the eyes of Xiao Qilinmo and other mortals, they don't understand what Tianyuan is, nor do they know what it means to leave a name for heaven and earth. They only know that the young master may be in danger. Quote. The cold look on Lin Zi's face melted away, and he looked at Linmo and others, and his heart felt warm and a little emotional. In these short few months, he has reached the peak of his innate ability, and will soon break through to the Holy Realm. However, these old friends and relatives of the Lin family are still trapped in the physical body. He was really walking too fast. You guys, what can happen to me? The one you saw was just the movement caused by another breakthrough in my cultivation. Oh, Xiaoqui and others nodded in seeming understanding. Master, just be okay. But, young master, there is another thing, this. Xiaoqui didn't dare to say any more. Lin Mo said directly in Lin Zi's ear, the lady is missing. Since you left, the lady has become a little dull during that time, as if she has become a different person. About 10 days ago, the young lady suddenly left the Lin family and disappeared without a trace. We mobilized the Lin family's brothers and all the killers in Shira Villa to investigate, but we couldn't find any trace. Lin Mo said, but found that Lin Zi's expression was calm and unmoved. I know that the lady has left. I have withdrawn all the people. There is no need to investigate further. Yes, although Lin Mo was puzzled, Lin Zi's words were the highest instruction of the Lin family. Well, how's Grandpa doing? Master, he is still in seclusion and making breakthroughs. He has not yet come out of seclusion. Then don't disturb his old man for the time being. Everything in the Lin family is business as usual, just do whatever you have to do. Yes, after saying that, Lin Zi walked towards Lu Hanyan's boudoir. We waited until we arrived in the courtyard where Lu Hanyan's boudoir was located. Hongtian's figure appeared next to Lin Zi again. When Lin Mo, Xiaoqui and others saw Hongtian, they subconsciously became vigilant. But the next moment, the hair on their bodies stood up. It's like a mortal seeing God. An instinctive feeling of fear arose instantly. You, master, little. Lin Zi waved his hand to block Hongtian's breath. He glared at Hongtian, don't scare my family. Hongtian shrugged helplessly, can you blame me? He glanced at his surroundings and said, it's you. The devil's leader is actually your sister-in-law. It's amazing that you can still survive until now. The leader of the demon cult. Sister-in-law. Hongtian's words made Xiaoqui, Linmo and others stunned for a moment. They knew every word of it. But why can't I understand it when connected? Lin Zi ignored Hongtian. He unfolded his senses and searched for the footprints left by Lu Hanyan around him. The next moment, Lin Zi's eyes rested on Lu Hanyan's dressing table. On Lu Hanyan's dressing table, wisps of demonic aura floated without concealment. It seemed like she had left it behind on purpose. A divine light shot out of Lin Zi's eyes and hit the demonic energy. After a period of changes in the demonic energy, 3 demonic characters appeared in front of Lin Zi. Who are you? Single quote. With the appearance of these 3 characters, a figure of a devilish and unparalleled beauty appeared in Lin Zi's mind. Through countless layers, her pair of blurred scarlet eyes looked at each other from afar with Lin Zi. Seeing this, Lin Zi's energy and spirit gathered into one. The powerful sense of fate swept across the Wagwang realm like a tide in an instant. It spread from the Wagwang realm to the surrounding realms with thunderous force. Whoosh! His will is projected into the void. He saw Lu Hanyan, who was far away in an unknown place, between illusions. Lu Hanyan's eyes flashed with strange color. You have become stronger again. It's only been 2 months and you've already reached this point. Lin Zi said with a subtle expression, That's ridiculous. Lindsay's little effort is not as good as my sister-in-law's skill. Besides, you want to know who I am. Why don't you wait until I come back to have a good chat? You left without even saying hello. Sister-in-law, you are so mean. In the illusion, Lu Hanyan looked at Lindsay steadily. Then he looked at the simple sword box Lindsay carried behind him. Those beautiful red eyes showed some inexplicable color. She said, if I really stay, I won't be able to leave. Lindsay smiled and said, as my sister-in-law said, I can still kill you with a sword. After all, we have so many years of friendship. Can the friendship of so many years allow you to be gentler? Then it depends on how we talk later. Hearing this, Lu Hanyan sighed softly. You still hate others lying to you as much as you did when you were a child. You're not lying to me, you want me to die. What did Qinghe tell you? You guess. Lu Hanyan was silent for a while. I don't know what Qinghe said, but what I want to tell you is. Qinghe has to join in, so why don't I? We are actually all entrants. After saying that, Lu Hanyan's shadow disappeared into the illusion and completely lost her trace. As for the rest, let's talk about it after you calm down for a few years. Watching Lu Hanyan's illusory shadow leave, the smile at the corner of Lindsay's mouth became colder. How many years have you been quiet? You underestimate me. After a few days, I retrieved the Destiny Immortal scripture, and used the power of the Destiny Immortal body and my God-level understanding to create a peak tracking method. By then, I'll see where you go. I want to run away without explaining it clearly. Nothing in this world is so easy. Want to know who I am? You'll soon find out who I am. The illusion is shattered. Lindsay's will returns. He turned around and left the courtyard where Lu Hanyan was. Let Lu Zhen and other senior officials of the Lu family come to see me. When Lin Mo heard this, his heart trembled. Although he didn't know what happened to the young lady. But judging from what he just said and the young master's current reaction, it's definitely not a good thing. There must be something wrong with the lady's identity. Yes, let me go now. After that, Lin Mo went to the Lu family in person to deliver the order. After Lin Mo left, Lindsay looked at Lin Ao's retreat again. After a long while, Lindsay turned his eyes away and landed on the Lin family cemetery, the tombs of the two outstanding figures of the Lin family. There was something he had to verify. So he glanced at Hongtian and said to Xiaoqui, this is my friend in the innate world. You're so welcome. Yes, master. Hongtian also understood that what Lindsay said was obviously very private. So he said, you go ahead and I'll go to your capital for a walk. I haven't been to the human world for a long time, and I just want to experience the scenery of the human world. Lindsay nodded, took a step forward, and appeared in the Lin family cemetery. In front of the tomb of the two outstanding figures of the Lin family. Standing in front of the tombstone of the two outstanding figures of the Lin family. Lindsay bowed first. Father, second uncle, the child is unfilial and has alarmed you too. But there is something very important, related to the blood of my Lin family. I have to be careful, kid. If the child guesses wrong, I will choose an auspicious day to find a hole and build a tomb for you too. If there is any offense, I hope my father and uncle will forgive the child for his unfilial piety. Say it. Lindsay had a thought. The tombs of the two outstanding figures of the Lin family suddenly cracked. The surrounding soil automatically flowed away, revealing the two coffins buried deep inside. Immediately afterwards, the coffin lid was removed. Two white bones were suspended in midair under Lindsay's gaze. Lindsay stared closely at the two white bones, and the Lin family blood in his body began to circulate. 1 breath. 2 breaths. No response. Lindsay walked to the two bones in person. He stretched out his hand and made contact with the bones. A few drops of blood flowed down Lindsay's palm into the bones. Another breath. 2 breaths. Lindsay let go of his hand. This time, he was silent for a long time. The corpses of the two heroes of the Lin family indeed belong to them. Whether it is the bones, the appearance when they were buried, or the characteristics of the Lin family's bloodline, they are exactly the same. Back then, everyone in the Lin family watched them being buried. These two corpses really fooled everyone. But there's one thing they can't copy, and they can't deceive anyone. That is the Bawang blood hidden deep within the Lin family. Lindsay couldn't feel the echo of Bawang's blood on the two corpses of the two elites of the Lin family. It is not weak, nor has it not awakened. But it doesn't exist at all. Obviously, these two corpses are fake. He is not the real second master of the Lin family at all. Lindsay's guess at that time was right. In the original plot, the entire Lin family was wiped out but not wiped out. Because the Lin family is still alive. The deaths of Lindsay and Linao were just another schemer from the Lin family trying to retreat in order to advance at the expense of Lindsay and Linao, the two Lin family members. Quote. For a moment, Lindsay didn't know what to say. He was silent for a long time. In the end he just sighed. Okay, so good. Quote. Lindsay left the Lin family cemetery. He walked in the Lin family compound, just like he did when he was a child. He would habitually walk to the main mansion when he was in a bad mood. I want to go to Grandpa Linao's place. He walked to Grandpa Linao's retreat. Quote. He opened his mouth, wanting to say something. The words came to his lips, but for a moment, he didn't know where to start. For so many years, Grandpa has been tracing the real cause of death of his father's second uncle. Now the truth is out. But can he accept this truth? The truth, what is the truth? Quote. That's all. Lindsay turned around and left the Lin family's mansion. Lindsay walked in the prosperous Baikan imperial capital. Lindsay was in a very complicated mood at this time and wanted to relax. The flowers and willows in the world can always dissipate depression. Someone recognized him. Whether it was as the second young master of the Lin family before, or later as the Shenwu king who shocked Baikan, and the innate god who shocked the hidden sword mountain, Lindsay's popularity in Baikan had never been small. People greeted Lindsay warmly and respectfully, and sometimes passers-by burned incense and knelt before Lindsay on the spot, praying for blessings as if they were seeing a living god. There are those who want children. Shenwu immortal, please bless me and let me hold a big fat boy in my arms next year. There are those who seek the truth. Lord Shenwu King, I also want to become an immortal like you. Please bless the believers and guide the way. And those who want to regain their glory. Lin God, living God, please bless me to be invincible and restore my manly glory. I wonder if those little hooves dared to scream tonight. This made Lindsay dumbfounded, and the depression in his heart dissipated a little. At the same time, he couldn't help but sigh. After achieving innateness, the innate and secular worlds are really two worlds. Is sighing with emotion. Suddenly, a familiar voice caught Lindsay's attention. Lin, Prince Shenwu. Lindsay's eyes narrowed slightly and he turned around to look. I saw Xia Qinghe, an elegant girl in a white dress, with a temperament as fresh as the green grass in early summer, and a figure as graceful as the snow in the flowing wind, looking at Lindsay with autumn in her eyes, with a slight joy on her face. We haven't seen her for a long time, but she is still as beautiful as when we first met her. Seeing Lindsay's exchange of glances, Xia Qinghe quickly paid his respects. Xia Qinghe, a citizen girl, meets the prince. Lindsay looked at Xia Qinghe, his eyes flashing with light. You're actually still staying in Baikan. Based on calculations, Lindsay estimated that Xia Qinghe and Lu Hanyan, two characters who had a prominent role in the original plot, must have sensed something was wrong and left Baikan. But I didn't expect that Xia Qinghe would still stay here. This was beyond Lindsay's expectation. After hearing what Lindsay said, Xia Qinghe was stunned. The common girls don't understand what the prince said. Lindsay glanced at Xia Qinghe up and down, and the yin and yang energy in his eyes disappeared with wisps of purple light. Quote. Lindsay couldn't see any problem. The Xia Qinghe in front of me seemed to be just the most ordinary person. It's strange, with Lindsay's current level of cultivation, he can't even see through Xia Qinghe's true face. Is it possible that Xia Qinghe is really just an ordinary person? Or, Lindsay's expression remained unchanged, if you don't understand, just don't understand. Xia Qinghe nodded in understanding. Then she glanced at Lindsay and said, it seems like you have something on your mind, Your Majesty. Do supreme beings like innate gods and men also have troubles? Quote. Lindsay just glanced at Xia Qinghe. Xia Qinghe said again. Although the daughter of the people doesn't understand your troubles, the daughter of the people knows that some emotions need to be vented, and it will feel better to speak out. Quote. You want to hear it? Sha Qinghe smiled. If the prince is willing. Oh, if you want to hear it, then let me tell you. After saying that, a light shone in Lin Zi's eyes. The whole world suddenly became quiet. All the noisy sounds disappeared without a trace. Look around. Everyone in the entire Baikan imperial capital disappeared mysteriously. Only Lin Zi and Sha Qinghe were left. They seemed to have come to another deserted Baikan, to the other world. Sha Qinghe was a little surprised when he saw this. She said, "Is this the power of the innate gods?" Lin Zi looked at her deeply. "So be it." Then he began to tell his story. "The story I'm going to tell is the story of a friend of mine. And this story begins with an emperor's banquet. Starting from this banquet, the gears of fate begin to turn." Quote. Lin Zi narrated the plot of the original novel. Quote. Later, my friend was crushed by the woman he fell in love with, and his whole family was destroyed. Tell me, who is that woman? What exactly is she thinking? When Lin Zi told this story, it was already a showdown. Except for not mentioning names, it is exactly the same as the original trajectory. Even if Sha Qinghe is really just an ordinary person, he should know what he is talking about. Looking at Sha Qinghe, the stars in Lin Zi's eyes were deeper than ever before. At this time, he seemed to have turned into a huge abyss, bottomless and unpredictable. However, Sha Qinghe's reaction was beyond Lin Zi's expectation. She showed a look of confusion and shock. The story you told. No, it's not this story. It should be said that it's a similar scene. I seem to have encountered it in my dream. Oh, in a dream. Lin Zi raised an eyebrow. In that dream, do you have the answer? Sha Qinghe thought carefully. I remember. I seem to be talking about, in the dream. That woman may not have actually killed your friend. Lin Zi's eyes flashed with stars. Why? Sha Qinghe said with some embarrassment. Things in dreams are always absurd. My logical understanding in dreams is a bit. But it doesn't matter. Sha Qinghe thought for a while and said. I may think that her reaction to your friend is too weird and not like what a normal person would do. If you fail in your courtship, how can you turn against each other and give away other people's things to others? Isn't it a conscience-stricken thing? When things go wrong, there must be a monster. In addition, you said that the woman personally killed your friend, leaving her bones and ashes. Then, isn't it only the woman herself who knows whether your friend is dead or not? Of course, I'm just guessing, it doesn't count, so you don't have to take it seriously. After saying that, Sha Qinghe also realized that the answer in his dream was a bit absurd, and lowered his head with a slightly red face. And, if you really woo me, how can I refuse? And Sha Qinghe said the next words very softly. As thin as a swimming mosquito. Even if others are close, it is difficult to hear clearly. But with Lin Zi's level, how could he not hear Sha Qinghe's whispers? This Sha Qinghe. Lin Zi frowned. She really didn't look like she was faking it. Every word he says is true. This is a bit unbelievable. Lin Zi took one last look at Sha Qinghe. Then, his figure disappeared. The world returned to normal, and the noise came. The disappeared people of Baikan reappeared in the city. Sha Qinghe looked up, but Lin Zi was gone. She looked around with a sense of loss, then sighed in her heart and moved back to Baikan Academy. At this time, Lin Zi had already found Hongtian, who was drinking in the city. He dragged Hongtian away. Check someone out for me. Hongtian put down the wine bottle and twitched the corner of his mouth. You are so rude. Just help me if you ask me to. As he spoke, Lin Zi was already leading Hongtian through the void. He pointed at Sha Qinghe, who was heading back to Baikan Academy in front of him. Does this person have the aura of destiny that you sensed before? Hongtian rolled his eyes speechlessly. I'm like a big scapegoat. I didn't get the benefits first, and I have to work for you. Although Hongtian said this, his eyes had already fallen on Sha Qinghe. If it had been anyone else, Hongtian would have ignored him. But Lin Zi. Hey, who asked Lin Zi to have an immortal body with him? There is only one person among the 9 immortals of the Great Tao in a lifetime. They are rivals and brothers created by Tao. The eyes of destiny fell on Sha Qinghe. The supreme and majestic destiny is flowing around Hongtian. Threads of destiny appeared in Hongtian's eyes. He cleaned and observed. Quote. After a long time, his eyes shone with light. this person should be the Eldar who has undergone millions of differentiations and has a very weak aura that I told you about when I came here. But what? Hong Tian glanced at Sha Qinghe, and then at the direction of the Chang sword sect. The identity of this spiritual tribe is not simple. When I saw that woman in Zhanzong before, I didn't pay much attention to it. Now I see this. That's right, it should be the 7 emotions technique of the spiritual clan. Hong Tian knew that Lin Zi was in Qingyu and did not know what was going on outside the area. Before Lin Zi could ask, he explained, this 7 emotions technique is the high-level spiritual cultivation method you want. This 7 emotion method can differentiate people's spiritual emotions and reincarnate them into real people, to experience all kinds of things in the world and appreciate the rolling world of mortals. After experiencing thousands of joys, anger, sorrow, fear, love and evil, the body of all transformations is finally integrated into one body, thus achieving the amazing effect of tempering the spiritual will and strengthening the divine way. It is said that there is a saint among the spiritual clan, who has been transformed into millions of people, experienced thousands of tribulations in the world of mortals, and finally returned to one body and entered the realm of a saint. I used to think that this was an exaggeration of the mystique of the Eldar race by outsiders, but now it seems, this is not an exaggeration, but something real. If we take the woman from the Chang sword sect as the main body, the woman in front of us is a ray of emotion that was differentiated by that woman using the 7 emotions technique. If the real person far away from the spiritual clan is used as the main body, then the person from the Chang sword sect is a piece of desire separated by the 7 emotions technique from the real body. This cycle leads to thousands of divisions, and the spread is endless. The spirit clan's 7 emotions technique is indeed well deserved. It's wonderful. It's wonderful. Sighing at the wonder of the spiritual clan's 7 emotions technique, the light in Hong Tian's eyes became even stronger. Interesting, really interesting. The immortal body came to the world, the demon sect smuggled in, and the spiritual clan secretly surrendered. There are also several other forces that are unknown for the time being. Everything that should come has come. Thinking about it this way, are my Hong Tians coming from outside the territory, your Lin Zi's birth, and the 2 immortal bodies gathering in the Qing territory also part of that old ghost Qing Kang's plan? When Lin Zi heard this, his eyes flashed. As a descendant of Bawang blood, Lin Zi has seen more things than Hong Tian. You must know that his ancient blood of the 8 desolations is compatible with the 3 paths of essence, energy and spirit, and is a powerful bloodline that combines the 3 meridians of heaven and earth into one. And the current Qingyu, the high-level spirit clan representing the lineage of gods has appeared. The phoenix, the true spirit of heaven and earth, representing the lineage of essence, also appeared. The Qing territory is originally the core area where the human race of the Qi lineage is entrenched. In this way, the 3 meridians of heaven and earth, Jingqi Shen, and the 8 desolate bloods that are compatible with the 3 meridians are all gathered. Is this a coincidence? Absolutely not. So, Lin Zi glanced at Hong Tian, how do you interpret this? Hong Tian shrugged and said, everyone knows that this Qingyu is the largest chessboard in the world since ancient times. That's why I came to Qingyu. After saying that, Hong Tian sighed. You understand, as the 9 immortals of the Great Tao, this world is like an adult beating a child to the 2 of us. Looking around, there is no opponent in the world. In the eyes of the 2 of us, all the people in this world are just superficial aliens. No, it should be said that the 2 of us are aliens who are incompatible with this world and have no relatives. Lin Zi, Hong Tian continued, it just so happened that at that time, one of my subordinates from outside the territory was defeated and said something to me. If you really are invincible, why not go to the Qingyu where there are many chess players to fight against the chess players? Solve the mystery of the Qingyu. At this point, I have become very interested in Qingyu. I have begun to understand the so-called mystery of Qingyu. To fully understand the so-called mystery of the Qingyu, we have to start with the Qingkang holy saint from the ancient times hundreds of millions of years ago. Hong Tian said, the holy saint Qingkang, he is the only being in the ancient times who has achieved the beginningless one. No one knows how he achieved Wuxi, and no one knows who Qingkang is. From the moment Qingkang became the beginningless one, his origins and past have been completely erased. In the world's perception, when they know Qingkang has already appeared. So the saints of that era began to study Qingkang, trying to figure out how Qing Kang became the beginningless one, in the hope that they could also reach the beginningless state. At that time, there were 3 ancient ruins in the world. They have been passed down from the ancient times of the ancient saints to this day. The legends contain the secrets left by the ancient saints. Whoever can break through these 3 relics can embark on the road to the sky and chase after the ancient saints. These 3 major ruins are the Stairway to the Gods, the Forest of Rootless Steles, and the Ancient Battlefield. Does it sound familiar? Lin Zi understood. The 3 major trials of Daoji Mountain. Hong Tian nodded. That's right. He continued. Ever since Qing Kang became the beginningless one, the world's pursuit of the 3 ancient ruins has become more and more enthusiastic. They deeply believe that Qing Kang was able to defeat the ancient ruins and guide the path to the beginningless one. So everyone rushed into the 3 major ruins. And this influx is going to cause trouble. The world is surprised to find that the ladder to the gods, which originally had no idea how high or deep it was, and that no one has ever reached the end of, actually has an end. The ladder to heaven broke in the middle, and the broken ladder disappeared. Quote, a large area of the rootless steel forest was also dug up. The last ancient battlefield was not spared. There was a big hole in the center of the battlefield. Hong Tian looked amused. The reason why these ancient ruins are ancient ruins and can be passed down for so many years is precisely because they are protected by their own mysterious powers. No one has ever been able to damage them. But now it's damaged. Who could have done this? Except for the holy Saint Qing Kang, there will be no other person in this world. Before he achieved Wuxi, the 3 major ruins were safe and sound. As soon as he achieved Wuji, the 3 major ruins were poisoned. No one else can do this except him. And that's exactly what happened. Qing Kang made no secret of it. The next day, he built a Daoji mountain in Qingyu, which was composed of fragments of 3 ancient ruins. He even invited 8 of the most powerful ancient people to visit Daoji mountain and jointly comprehend the great path of no beginning. But as it turned out, 8 of them went and not one came back. Qing Kang swept across the world with the power of the beginningless one, and chopped off the heads of 8 most powerful saints with one sword, leaving them blood-stained in the Dao Tribulation Mountain. And the holy weapons of the 8 most powerful men were collected by the old ghost Qing Kang to wash away their marks and pass them on to his 8 disciples. Tisk tisk. Hong Tian clicked his tongue twice. First cut off the ruins and take them for your own use, then kill the 8 saints to eliminate dissidents. Everyone thinks Qing Kang wants to dominate Tianlin and start an era of hegemony. However, it was beyond everyone's expectations. After killing the 8 saints and cutting off the ruins, Qing Kang just circled the Qing territory, imposed an absolute Taoist ban, and then disappeared without a trace. For hundreds of millions of years, Qing Kang has not been seen again. Some people speculate that he may have lost Tianlin and gone to a place outside the world to find a new world. Some people speculate that Qing Kang touched the ancient ruins and violated the taboos of the ancestors, and was completely wiped out by the backhand left by the ancestors. Some people also speculate that Qing Kang has become invincible in the world. Feeling that the world is lonely, he abandoned his true spirit and reincarnated to start his journey again. In short, no matter what kind of guess, Qing Kang is indeed like evaporating from the world, disappearing without a trace, without roots and origins, leaving only the eternal unsolved mystery of Daoji Mountain. Hong Tian continued to talk about the mystery of Qingyu. As a result, all forces took action upon hearing the news and looked covetously at Qingyu. Everyone in Tianlin wants to know what Qing Kang left in Daoji Mountain, and why he wanted to kill the 8 saints' blood-stained Daoji Mountain. Therefore, under the confusing behavior of the old ghost Qing Kang, Qing territory became the eye of a whirlpool storm, and began to make plans for the powerful ones one by one. And I came to Qingyu out of boredom. I hope that Qingyu, where chess players are everywhere, can bring me a little bit, even just a little challenge, that's enough. Hong Tian sighed, but it's a pity. The outside world says it's amazing, and the Qingyu with whirlpools and storms is just like that to me. I sense the Qingyu with my destiny, and found that although there are clouds and waves, there is actually no one who can fight. I then went to see the so-called Daoji Mountain that has hidden eternal secrets. I was the first to enter Daoji Mountain. Before you guys came, I had seen Daoji Mountain inside and out. As for the so-called mystery of Daoji Mountain, oh, my evaluation is 4 words. It's better not to watch. Lin Zi asked, what did you see? Hongtian spread his hands. I didn't see anything. Quote. After leaving the three ancient ruins, whether it is the ladder to heaven, the forest of Stells, or the ancient battlefield, they have lost their charm, leaving only the vicissitudes of time. Daoji Mountain is said to be full of mysteries, but in fact there is nothing. Qing Kang made a joke to these descendants and left an empty chessboard there. I just want to trick people into having fun and let them waste their efforts. Tisk, this old ghost is more immoral than my senior who threw the Immortal Sutra into the Boundary River. Of course, it's also possible that I haven't understood the Immortal Sutra, my immortal body has not yet matured, and I can't see the deeper things. Anyway, before that, I felt that everything in this world was too boring, and it was not as interesting as sleeping. Until you show up. Hongtian looked at Lin Zi, the light in his eyes was so powerful. Immortal body versus immortal body, this is an unprecedented situation. Can you imagine how I felt? Alien meets alien. After all, I, Hongtian, am not walking alone. Hongtian then said slightly excitedly. After that, I followed you to the land of Baikan. I saw the leader of the demon cult, the 7 emotions of the spirit clan, and those unknown changes in the layout. Only then did I realize that the old ghost Qing Kang might not have left an empty chessboard. He was using the world as his son to lure all the races in the world into the game. This old guy is planning something big. Ha 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 ha. This place is even more exciting than I thought. I love this place so much. As he spoke, the light in Hongtian's eyes became more intense. He looked at Sha Qinghe and said excitedly to Lin Zi, what do you say now? Should we break the situation, or should we wait and see again? This is your home court, and I listen to your opinion. Lin Zi first said, does this Sha Qinghe have a subjective consciousness? Hongtian shook his head, the 7 emotions law is from top to bottom. The upper level knows the next level, but the lower level does not know the previous level. It means that woman from the Chang sword sect, you should know who I am talking about. That woman knows you, Sha Qinghe doesn't know her. But Sha Qinghe knows you, and that woman will definitely know. Lin Zi understood. I see, no wonder that wonderful desire looks so weird. Lin Zi added, in this case, can we get the 7 emotions technique from them? Hongtian snapped his fingers, others can't do anything, but this can't stop the destiny immortal body. It was a little troublesome to summon the 7 emotions Dharma for you, but now that the 7 emotions Dharma is here incarnate, it will be easy. Hongtian pointed at Sha Qinghe, she is just a skill. After saying that, Hongtian waved his hand and directly sucked Sha Qinghe into the void, smashing and twisting it. Lin Zi did not stop Hongtian. It's just a fragment of an incarnation, 1/1,000,000th of its original owner. Boom. Along with Hongtian shook his hand. Sha Qinghe's whole body twisted and disappeared without a trace. But at the last moment it disappeared. She seemed to have broken through Hongtian's destiny and cast a meaningful look at Lin Zi. After that, Sha Qinghe disappeared. Instead, there is an ancient book that exudes colorful light. This scene made Lin Zi very envious. It directly turns people into a skill. The destiny immortal body is so useful. Otherwise, don't take care of the other things in advance and go to salvage the immortal scripture tomorrow. Lin Zi thought this way. There was a hint of surprise on Hongtian's face. Wo Ri was actually transformed by a single skill. Lin Zi, you're not even sure. It's not that. I said she is a skill, which means that if I kill her, I can fish out the 7 emotions technique from the thread of destiny. But I didn't expect that the original body of this thing was actually transformed from a skill book. This Sha Qinghe, she is the 7 emotions technique itself. Lin Zi and Hongtian looked at each other. Both fell silent. Did I kill too early? Lin Zi glanced at him speechlessly. Is this the destiny immortal body? You didn't stop me either. Hongtian reached out and summoned the ancient book that exuded colorful light. The brilliant technique was placed in front of the two of them. The letter contains 3 beautiful characters. 7 emotions method. Turning to the first page, it describes in detail the various essences of the 7 emotions method. Every word is clear and simple. With these essential secrets, even a half-experienced person can master the 7 emotions from the shallower to the deeper level. This essence is clearly from the hand of the Mighty One. Look at the signature at the back. Into a dream. Who is Shu Rumong? Lin Zi's knowledge of Tianlin mostly stayed in Qingyu, and he only had some knowledge of other places from various collections of books, not much. As for the land of Qingyu, except for the Qingsheng Qingkang and the half-sage Qinghe, there are no heavyweights. The name, Shu Ruimeng, obviously does not belong to the Qingyu. Hongtian frowned and continued to use the power of the destiny immortal body to sense the existence of Shu Ruimeng. But for a long time, Hongtian couldn't find any clues about Tianji. The long river of destiny has not even a few ripples. This person is not a simple person. With my current destiny realm, I still can't see this person. Forget about it. Lin Zi nodded indifferently. He doesn't need to think about who Shu Ruimeng is now. 30 days later, he will press the head of each behind-the-scenes organizer and ask them to sing a song of conquest one by one. By then, there would be no need for Lin Zi to look for it, the answer would come to him obediently. 30 days. It was over in the blink of an eye. The important thing right now is that Lin Zi finally got the high-level spiritual training method he wanted most. At this point, the essence, energy, and spirit were finally perfected, and Lin Zi finally united the 3 blood vessels into one, completely reviving the full picture of the ancient 8 desolations blood. Thinking about it, Lin Zi picked up the 7 emotions technique and turned around to leave. Leave only one sentence. After practice, I will accompany you to fish for the immortal scripture. Wait for me. Quote. Watching Lin Zi leave, Hongtian suddenly scratched his head, finding the immortal sutra. I feel like you are more anxious than me. Quote. Forget it, let's break through casually while we have time. Looking at Qingyu's recent posture, half a step into the divine sea is not enough. It can't be left to rot. If you keep trying, you won't be able to catch up with that pervert. After saying that, Hongtian sat cross-legged on the spot, wandering in the void, absorbing the spirit of heaven and earth. Here comes the medicine. Come Dan. Thalai. Quote. In the void, Hongtian dug out the power of the immortal body again and sublimated it again. The other side, Lin Zi sat cross-legged holding the 7 emotions dharma. God level understanding level 6 activated. You read the 7 emotions method. With your terrifying understanding that is close to Taoism, the 7 emotions law has been completely broken by you and has been deduced to the 10th level. 7 emotions law LV10, Dzogchen. You have comprehended a top-notch local level technique, and you have the power of God level understanding. With the rapid rise in the realm of 7 emotions, Lin Zi's spiritual will instantly grew at an incredible speed and became more and more indestructible. At the same time, with the strength of his spiritual will, Lin Zi's mind became clear. Suddenly, his consciousness seemed to have broken free from some kind of restraint and became extremely relaxed. After being in a cage for a long time, I regained the feeling of returning to nature. It is as transparent as a mirror, as bright as glass, and as strong as gold and stone. Lin Zi's spiritual perception became extremely sharp, and the range expanded hundreds of times, without any feeling of awkwardness. No matter how far away it is as if the ears and eyes are present, as if the earth sees and the sky hears. And with the improvement of Lin Zi's spiritual realm, the ancient blood of the 8 desolations in his body surged rapidly like a hungry wolf smelling the smell of blood. His blood is boiling, burning. Lines of bloody flames flowed through every inch of Lin Zi's body. Gudong, Gudong. The blood is like a rushing wave. The ancient power precipitated in your bloodline guides the integration of your 3 veins and opens up the direction of the divine treasure of your bloodline. Under the guidance of the bloodline, you try to use the 8 desolate bloodline method as the core to forcibly integrate the Qi refining method, the essence refining method, and the God refining method to combine the 3 veins into one. You combine the Great Wilderness True Flame Gong, Extreme and the 7 Emotions technique. You have comprehended the ancient low-grade heaven level skill, Bawang Invisible Holy Shadow, Extreme exclusive to the blood of the 8 desolations. Bawang Invisible Holy Shadow, Extreme LV10, Great Perfection. The 3 meridians merged into one, and it actually reached the lower level of heaven. It seems that the power of the Bawang bloodline is far more mysterious than Lin Zi expected. However, the Bawang blood technique is not complete until it reaches the low-level heaven level. The perfection of the 3 meridians of essence, energy and spirit finally revives the ancient power hidden in the blood. You circulate the power of your bloodline. Lin Zi's eyes sparkled with stars. He stretched out his hand, and a glimmer of light appeared on his fingertips. Boom! The glimmer of light seemed to be the only light in the dark universe at this moment. Once it appeared, it shocked the entire time and space with its absolute attitude. It has the domineering spirit of the flesh, the majesty of the spiritual energy of heaven and earth, and the majestic coercion of will. Just this glimmer of light contains the ultimate in the three powers of spirit, energy and spirit. One strike is the path to destruction. How can the power be as simple as 1 + 1? At the same time, Lin Zi has a higher immunity and stronger resistance to the pure power of the three veins. Simple essence attacks or spiritual energy attacks will no longer be able to cause effective damage to Lin Zi, and most of them will be exempted by the power of blood. To summarize, it's simply using Lin Zi's understanding. His attack turned into a chaotic attack. With one move, his body, spirit, energy and will were all struck together. The armor turned into sacred armor. If others attack him with a single force, he will be greatly reduced. Only chaotic attacks can cause non-reduced effective damage to Lin Zi. I have to say that after fully awakening, the Bawang blood realm is really strong. The two advantages of chaotic attack and sacred armor alone are enough to make Lin Zi stand out among the others. Not to mention the physical improvement and other changes after the bloodline is fully awakened. In short, Lin Zi at this moment has reached an inhuman level, completely transcending the realm of innateness. Of course, it's just a leap in combat power. In terms of realm, because there are no holy level rules in Qingyu itself, Lin Zi's realm still remains at the Mingzan realm. But this is the same as Lin Zi breaking through Tianyuan. His realm understanding is enough. As long as the Taoist restrictions are lifted or he goes to other realms, he can directly break through the shackles at any time and reach the peak of the invisible saint. In other words, the arrival of the 7 emotions technique has turned Lin Zi into a true saint who can transform at any time. At this point, the holy realm is complete. Lin Zi closed the 7 emotions method. At this time, the flowers are beautiful and the grass is green. The sun is shining brightly and the wind is gentle. Everything in this world is beautiful. At this time, there was a huge fluctuation between heaven and earth. There are flowers falling from the sky and golden lotuses blooming from the ground. There is purple energy coming thousands of miles from the east. There is also a scene where the sun and moon are in the same sky. Tiandao Tianyuan, who once shocked the Qingtian realm and spread to all corners of the world, reappears. In the sky, a bright golden light of heaven flashed, and the supreme and majestic power of heaven once again descended, making everyone in the world feel proud. Quote exclamation mark exclamation mark exclamation mark quote. Another monk god appears. Did I get excited? Did I make a mistake? What's going on in the Qing territory recently? It's rare for a god of monks to appear in tens of millions of years. In just a few days, he actually appears one after another. Either I'm crazy or the world is crazy. Quote. Quote. In the eyes of everyone who couldn't believe it. In this way, Hongtian completed his breakthrough and was promoted to a new generation of monk god with the body of heavenly Tao Tianyuan. The whole process can be said to be like stepping on a cliff and crossing the water, without any disturbance. It's as simple and easy as eating and drinking. And this is indeed the case. For the destiny immortal body, isn't trivial matter such as breakthrough a common occurrence. Breakthrough Tianyuan. Hongtian restrained his destiny and commented lightly, it's not bad. He squeezed his palms and said, it's a pity that I haven't got the immortal scripture yet. Otherwise, it would be easier to reach Mingshuan and complete the innate section in one go. And for this, we have to mention Hongtian's previous generation's destiny immortal body. The grandson. Others are short of gold in their 5 elements, but you are short of virtue in your 5 elements. There's no good place to throw the immortal scripture, except in the river. I'm sorry you can think of it. Quote. Quote. After Hongtian helplessly scolded the previous generation for a few times, he stepped out of the void. After sensing Lin Zi's presence, he left in search of the trace. As a myriad magical immortal, Lin Zi probably has the immortal sutra in hand. He has already broken through Tianyuan, and there is no reason for him not to finish it. A mere 7 emotions technique can't stop 10,000 techniques, which is the same 9 immortal physique as Tianming. At this moment, Lin Zi must at least start to master the 7 emotions technique. As expected, when Hongtian saw Lin Zi watch his spirit and will, transparent as a mirror, as solid as golden stone, and as bright as a bright fire. It is as if the seven emotions Dharma has been reached. The state of Dzogchen. Quote. Grass. Isn't it great to have immortal scriptures? This made Hongtian's okay mood suddenly become uncomfortable. He glanced at Lin Zi and snapped his fingers. A void gate that spanned countless realms and led directly to the Tianlin River appeared in front of the two of them. Then he stepped directly into the void gate and only said, "Let's go, it's your turn to work." Lin Zi dodged and followed directly. The two of them stepped into the mysterious Tianlin River. Boundless territory. Tianlin Boundary River. This place is the ultimate realm of Tianlin, the edge of the world. It is said to be a boundary river. But in fact, it is a dark and boundless illusory barrier composed of countless void media. Because it flows with the void and creates waves, it looks like a long river, so it is named Boundary River. It traverses the edge of the world, blocks Tianlin's world from going, separates Tianlin from the outside world, and protects the peace and stability between the worlds. I don't know how many years it has been. But on this day, there were some ripples in the usually peaceful Boundary River. Two guests traveled thousands of miles to the edge of the Boundary River. The figures of Lin Zi and Hongtian flashed on the edge of the Boundary River. The two of them watched the waves rising and falling in the Boundary River. Watching the fragments of the world flashing past in countless void media. 1.2. Numerous. A long while. Lin Zi looked at Hongtian with a strange expression. So, how do you want me to help you fish it out? Trying in person in one world at a time. There are countless world fragments in the Boundary River. Who knows which world the Immortal Sutra fell into? Hongtian waved his hand. It won't happen. During the period when I learned that the Immortal Sutra was in the Boundary River, I worked hard to investigate and confirm the origin of the immortal body one by one. During this period of time, the Immortal Sutra of Destiny only stayed in the fragments of 3 worlds. Quote. But I can't enter these 3 worlds. I don't know if I smell the scent of the Immortal Sutra, but there is a ghost thing in the Boundary River that has been guarding those 3 worlds. I can't kill it. Lin Zi was slightly surprised. What the hell can't even you handle? He has fought against Hongtian and is well aware of Hongtian's combat performance. To sum it up in one sentence, he's a jerk. And now he has been promoted to the Tianyuan realm, condensed the heavenly Tao Tianyuan, the power of destiny has been upgraded again, and his combat power has greatly increased. But even so, Hongtian still said he couldn't figure it out. This had to surprise Lin Zi. After hearing what Lin Zi said, Hongtian frowned and said, "That thing. How do you say it?" I would say it's a yin spirit, but it's not completely dead, it's half dead. Let's say it's some kind of obsessional madness, but it doesn't have the powerful purpose of an obsessional madness at all. It's hard to say anyway. You'll know when you see it. Lin Zi added, Tianlin is so powerful, why don't you think of going to them? Hongtian shook his head. That thing is difficult to deal with, it's very weird. If I hadn't been in the immortal body, I would have died under its claws. Even my immortal body is like this, let alone ordinary people like Tianlin. They are even worse. Besides, Hongtian spread his hands, my magnificent immortal body of destiny went to those aliens for help, and the face of the immortal body was completely lost. In Hongtian's heart, there was already a thick barrier between the immortal body and others. Everyone in the world is an alien in the eyes of Hongtian. No, to be more precise, the immortal body is an alien in the eyes of the world. Aliens are destined to be unable to understand and integrate into the world, and cannot be understood by the world. Those who can understand and integrate with others. Only aliens. Of course, problems that cannot be solved by one alien can only be left to another alien. Therefore, the world is big, but only Zi and Tianer. Lin Zi glanced at Hongtian and said, okay. You say it, I do it. Readily, Hongtian pointed his finger at the center of Lin Zi's eyebrows. A mysterious destiny mark rune appeared between Lin Zi's eyebrows, emitting a mysterious purple light. The body of the 9 immortals of the Great Tao is invisible to others, invisible, and unobtainable. The same is true for the Immortal Sutra belonging to the 9 immortals' body. Although you are also an immortal, you can see the immortal scriptures that are invisible and intangible to ordinary people in the world. But this is probably the first time in history that the immortal body of 10,000 methods has gone to retrieve the immortal scripture of destiny. I wonder if you can see other immortal scriptures besides the immortal scripture of 10,000 methods. So just to be on the safe side, I left you this destiny mark. This mark contains the origin of my immortal body, which ensures that you can perceive and see the existence of the immortal scripture of destiny. Quote. Lindsay. 6. Due to the special nature of the nine immortals' body. Whether the immortal sutra can be seen by non-immortal bodies is something Lindsay has thought about before. But with the idea that the boat will be straight when it reaches the bridge, and that it is worth a try for the immortal body, Lindsay decided to do it first. But now, before anything is done, the problem has been solved. Quote. What a good brother. The arrival of the seal of destiny suddenly made Lindsay's eyes sparkle like a river and sea. He looked at Hongtian, his eyes shining. Quote. What's that look in your eyes? Hongtian subconsciously took a step back. For some reason, he suddenly felt his destiny tremble, and he had an inexplicable premonition. Something's wrong with you. It's okay, I just want to see if you are fooling me. Quote. Lindsay looked away and extinguished the fire in his eyes. Okay, what else should I pay attention to? If there is anything else. Hongtian thought for a while. It's nothing to pay attention to, as long as you can sneak in from that ghost. With the mark of destiny on your body, I believe it won't be long before you can sense the existence of the Immortal Sutra. Quote. Oh, by the way, remember not to linger on those fragments of the world. Come back as soon as you find them. These world fragments are just different projections left by each world in their own time and space. They are not the real world. The laws and timelines there are chaotic and false, and are extremely unstable and may break at any time. We are not saints at the moment. Even if we are immortals, if we stay here for too long, we may be at risk of getting lost in illusion and chaos. Okay, I'm going. Hongtian nodded. Don't worry, I will protect you. After saying that, Lindsay jumped into the chaotic boundary river. Hongtian unfolded the true realm of destiny, and a purple mark exactly like the one between Lindsay's eyebrows appeared. His breath of destiny is connected to Lindsay, and he is always paying attention to Lindsay's movements. If something goes wrong, he will immediately turn back time and space to the origin. On the other side, Lindsay escaped into the infinite boundary river. Beside him, fragments of the world passed by. In those fragments, Lindsay could clearly see the changes in creatures from all walks of life and the different splendor of each world. There are those who cultivate immortals, those who cultivate demons, those who practice martial arts, those who raise spiritual beasts. There are all kinds of them, as if they are commodities for Lindsay to choose from. This made Lindsay instantly think of his previous life. There are so many world fragments in the river. Then will there be a fragment that belongs to the earth where I lived in my previous life? But as soon as the idea came up, Lindsay suppressed it. For Lindsay, he always has only one goal now. Become stronger. Become stronger. Still getting stronger. As long as he has strength, what else in the world can he not do? It's not too late to pursue these things after you've completely transcended yourself. So, after Lindsay only glanced at it for a few times, he let go of his perception and began to look for Hongtian's destiny mark to find the sensitive world fragments. He swam up the infinite river. This boundary river that comes from nowhere is really vast and boundless. Lindsay searched for a long time without seeing the edge of the boundary river, and found the 3 world fragments that Hongtian mentioned. I don't know how long it took. The destiny mark between Lindsay's eyebrows finally responded. In Lindsay's eyes, there were 3 world fragments exuding the gleaming purple energy that had the same origin as destiny. Found it. Lindsay dodged and appeared not far from the 3 world fragments. He first looked around cautiously, using all his senses. I didn't find that thing Hongtian was talking about either. Surrounding the 3 world fragments, there are only different fragments floating and flowing in the boundary river. They look very normal and not dangerous. This made Lindsay's eyes flash suddenly, and a wisp of fire appeared in his eyes. It's really tricky. Sometimes, being too normal is the biggest abnormality. Lindsay didn't think it would suddenly disappear without a trace, something that Lien Hongtian had been unable to handle for so many years. Obviously, its hiding ability is top-notch. Lindsay immediately made a move to enter a certain world fragment. Next moment, whoosh, a ghastly, skinny ghost claw protruding from the side. When Lindsay turned sideways and let the ghost claw hit the sword box. Boom! The green holy soldiers in the sword box immediately erupted with a shocking sword pressure that shook the Boundary River, and the powerful demonic power instantly swayed the Boundary River. The ups and downs are like a galactic storm. Many fragile and unstable world fragments were directly shattered under the powerful pressure of the holy soldiers' explosion. The entire Boundary River is quite empty. Be quieter. Don't shock my immortal scriptures away. Don't worry, I know what's going on. While talking, Lindsay had already seen the true form of Ghost Claw. The owner of the Ghost Claw is something similar to a humanoid creature. The whole body is wrapped in a dark mist, and the true shape cannot be seen clearly. Only a pair of red magic eyes are exposed in the facial area. The aura of his whole body was like yin but not yin, like yang but not yang. The yin hidden in the black mist could not be said to be obsession, nor could it be said to be some kind of demonic nature. Just like Hongtian said, it's extremely weird. And one of his claws hit the sword box of the holy weapon, causing the holy weapon to rebound, but it was still unscathed. Although the holy weapon in the sword box has not fully recovered, and only exuded some revolting energy, this is the holy weapon of the beginningless one, possessing the power to destroy all things. This ghost thing can receive the energy of the holy weapon without being injured, so it has some strength. No wonder even Hongtian can't handle it. Good. It is an excellent combat power test stone. Ever since the battle between Dao Jia Shan and Lord Kurong, Lindsay's strength has improved by leaps and bounds. Not only did he break the 2 levels of Tianyuan Mingxuan and reach the innate limit, he also completed the integration of the 3 meridians of essence, energy and spirit, and his bloodline was completely revived. The combat power has improved by leaps and bounds. Now he has reached an unknown level of strength, and even he doesn't know what kind of situation he can reach after exerting his full strength. This thing couldn't have come at a better time. Lindsay held his hands in vain, and a shadow of the god of war burning with holy blood appeared behind him. Bawang Invisible Holy Shadow LV10. Come. The shadow of the god of war merged into Lindsay's body, causing Lindsay's body to suddenly expand and grow rapidly. He did not stop until he turned into a little giant about 3 feet tall like the god of war. As Lindsay's body grew, auspicious shadows such as dragons, phoenixes, and unicorns condensed from countless spiritual energies also surrounded Lindsay. The perfection of the divine will emit spiritual light and forms a striking halo of divine light behind Lindsay, shaking the 9 heavens and 10 earths and suppressing the whole world. The true form of Bawang Saint Shadow State. A god and demon from the distant past came across time and space and descended on the land of the Boundary River. His arrival makes heaven and earth eclipse and silences time and space. War. Lindsay, who was in his true form of Bawang, punched through the air and flew away. The Boundary River rolled up huge waves. A sky-shattering fist shadow rushed over the ghost shadow at a speed that crossed the boundary between heaven and earth. The ghost shadow stretched out its ghost claws and struck again. The dark air was overwhelming, like a flood bursting its banks. Boom! Fist shadow and black energy clash. After a brief contact, the black energy shattered. Lindsay's fist punched the ghost shadow, making the black energy all over his body become weaker. One hit works, but actually, Lindsay frowned slightly. That moment just now, even if it's just for a moment. But with Lindsay's current level of cultivation, he would never be wrong. In the confrontation just now, his fist shadow seemed to be briefly stagnant. This power seems to be. In Lin Zihao's eyes like a sea of stars, an inexplicable light flashed away. Come again. The setting sun on the long river is LV10. A bright sun broke through the mist of the Boundary River and descended on the Boundary River. The rays of the sun shine in all directions, scorching the infinite river. Lindsay turned the infinite Boundary River into a long river sunset scene. That brilliant sun broke through the boundaries of the human world and came to cut down the heaven and the earth. Destroy. The huge scorching sun flew across the river with the force of melting thousands of hectares, scorching all the dark air of the ghost figure, exposing it to the scorching sun, and using the light of the scorching sun to eliminate all uncleanness. Ghost shadow is not to be outdone. Ho! It let out a roar that seemed to come from the 9 nether hells, stretched out its sharp claws, broke open and rushed towards it again, like a moth to the flame, resolutely tearing apart the sun. Break. The sun is gone. The embers of fire are burning. Lin Zi's offensive changed, and suddenly the bright flames of the sun entered the sea. Wow! The waves are rising. After the scorching sun fell, a bright moon emerged from the endless ocean. It spreads the heaven and earth with its clear and bright brilliance, reflecting fish scale-like waves on the vast sea. The light is misty under the moonlight, flashing dreamlike colors. The sea also turned into a bright mirror at this moment, floating the ghost's shadow on the mirror. The ghostly shadow and the bright moon are both white. Flowers in the mirror, moon in the water. Disillusionment. Jung. Countless rays of sword energy exchanged between the sun and the moon suddenly burst out from the mirror. The fire and ice complement each other at this moment, fully displaying the power of the sun and the bright moon. Whoosh whoosh. Countless sword energies rushed towards him, transforming into a sea of sword smoke. The ghost shadow floats and sinks in the sea of swords, letting out an unknown and evil roar. Ho! It wants to break free from the double attack of the scorching sun and the bright moon. But he is already trapped in the bright mirror and suppressed under the scorching sun. I can only watch my body being punished by the sword of the sun and moon. Every time a ray of sword energy passes through its body, the black energy on its body will melt away, revealing the true form of the ghost hidden within. Roar! It let out an increasingly rapid roar, shattering the sea of swords, and wanted to break through the siege of the sun and the moon. But how could Lin Zi do what it wanted? With a change of breath, two black and white auras circulated on Lin Zi's Bawang real body. Yin and Yang mysterious changes. The cycle of birth and death. Change. The energy of Yin and Yang is injected. The sun and moon rotate. The sword sea that had just been shattered turned from death to life, reorganized from the brokenness, and reappeared in the sun and moon mirror, constantly rotating and coiling, passing through the ghost body. Lin Zi shook his hand. The infinite sea of swords condensed into a mighty river, washing away the ghosts with the force of overwhelming force. The ghostly figure looked so small under the sword river illuminated by the sun and moon, and could shatter at the touch of it. Broken. Boom. The rivers collapsed and the earth was turned upside down. Under the long river, heaven and earth do not exist. There is no more life in the boundary river. From the looks of it, the ghost seemed to have been killed. However, Lin Zi still did not relax, with a thoughtful look in his eyes. Be careful. Behind you. Hong Tian's prompt sounded. Lin Zi turned around slowly. A strike of ghost claw strikes. Bawang's real body resisted the attack from ghost claw. When Lin Zi's Bawang true body was like pouring gold and iron, covered with the armor of the gods. Ghost claw's blow didn't cause any trouble to Lin Zi, it wasn't painful or itchy. Lin Zi took advantage of the situation and grabbed the ghost shadow with his true body's giant hand, holding it in his palm. He wanted to see what the hell this was. Show yourself to me. Lin Zi's big hand passed through the dense black air. It's like walking through a dark foggy forest full of frost. It's bone-chillingly cold. It's also extremely cold when you hold it, as if you've caught a piece of 10,000-year-old ice. The coldness was so deep that it seemed to penetrate the skin of Lin Zi Bawang's real body and penetrate into the bone marrow. But the next moment, it was washed away by the Bawang blood in Lin Zi's body, and was completely annihilated. Taking advantage of this opportunity, Lin Zi increased his grip, and his hands burned with blazing fire. He wanted to uncover the ghost's dark aura and force out his true form. But the next moment, the strange power of the ghost emerges again. It disappeared inexplicably and reappeared at the original position where it rushed towards Lin Zi. Seeing this, Lin Zi was completely sure. Because since he became enlightened, he has only had such a weird and outrageous fight once. Destiny. Don't be obsessed with fighting, move forward quickly. My destiny will not last long. Hong Tian's voice came again. Lin Zi raised his head, his eyes crossed the boundary river, and took a deep look at Hong Tian. Then he pushed the ghost back with a palm, and took advantage of the opportunity to enter one of the world fragments with the strongest destiny induction. In the fragmented time and space of an unknown world, Lin Zi faded away from the real body of Bawang and set foot on the land of this world. I respectfully ask the gods to descend upon you. A strange voice came. Lin Zi looked up. He saw a large group of Taoists in blue robes looking at him stupidly from across the altar. They saw with their own eyes that the being in front of them stepped out of the void, and the void fragments around him were reorganized one by one. Such power cannot be achieved except by gods. Then, this, this, really summoned the immortal god. This, I don't have any eyesight, why don't you go see the immortal soon? Yes. The Qingyi sect's allies, see the immortal. I wish the immortals great blessings and eternal blessings. Quote. The so-called Taoist priests of Qingyi sect immediately knelt down and worshipped, as if they had seen the ancient true God. Lin Zi just glanced at them and ignored them. He expanded his perception and used the destiny mark to find the destiny scripture that existed in this world. Quote. Moment. Lin Zi had a goal. The mark of destiny reacts. A small fishing village in the southeast of this world. Lin Zi disappeared in a flash and appeared in a small fishing village. A group of Taoist priests from the Qingyi sect were left with their heads buried in the air, not daring to look directly at the god. Southeast of this boundary, a small fishing village by the sea. Two young boys, a boy and a girl, about 10 years old, were picking up seafood on the beach. Brother, look, this can be exchanged for a lot of sesame seeds. Is Xiaomeng awesome? The girl looked proud, as if she was coming to praise me. The boy said nothing. Instead, he immediately pulled the girl over and protected him behind him. He looked at the person in front of him warily. Who are you? The person coming was none other than Lin Zi. He glanced at the two of them. I saw the strange star-shaped stone that the boy wore around his neck, reflecting the crystal light. Through the mark of destiny between the eyebrows, Lin Zi could clearly see the two ancient purple characters revealed in the stone. Destiny. This strange shaped stone is exactly the immortal scripture of destiny that Lin Zi is looking for. So, facing the wary eyes of the little boy and the little girl, Lin Zi pointed to the Destiny Sutra hanging around the boy's neck and said, I'm here for it. After that, Lin Zi turned the stone into gold and turned the entire beach into a golden coast. The shore is covered with fine golden sand. Under the sunlight, it looks so dazzling. I just heard your sister say that you can exchange for a lot of sesame cakes. Then this golden coast should be enough for you and your sister to be prosperous and wealthy for dozens of generations. What do you think of this deal? Lin Zi finished speaking. The girl looked at the dazzling golden coast in front of her and was stunned for a moment. This is not one or two grains, but an entire coast. She had never seen so much gold in her life. Quote. Brother, there are so many. She shook the boy's arm. The boy also looked extremely excited. But the excitement in his eyes was not for the gold, but for. Can you see the pebbles? The boy cried out in surprise. He held the immortal book of destiny and said, I'm just saying, the little stone must exist, it's not my imagination. As soon as these words came out, Lin Zi reacted immediately. The immortal sutra, like the immortal body, is an existence that is untouchable and invisible to mortals. It is impossible for ordinary people to see the existence of the immortal sutra. If this little boy can see the immortal sutra and hang it around his neck, then there is only one possibility. Looking at the little boy, Lin Zi's eyes burst out with a bright light. There is no doubt that this boy is also one of the 9 immortal bodies. As for which immortal body it is, forget it, it doesn't matter which immortal body he is. Just a fragment of the world. I don't know which time and space or which world it was left behind. Whether I can meet the rightful owner in this life is a matter of debate. The most important and realistic thing right now is the immortal scripture of destiny. Just when Lin Zi was thinking this, the boy had already pulled off the immortal scripture of destiny from his neck and handed it to Lin Zi. Here you go. Lin Zi was slightly surprised to see him. The boy grinned and said, although the little stone is magical, I am the only one who can see it, so I guess it will be a treasure. But I have held it in my hand for so many years and tried various methods, but it didn't even react at all. I can feel that it doesn't belong to me. Little stone is no longer destined to be with me. I might as well trade it with you for something nice. You can turn stones into gold and create such a large golden coast with the wave of your hand. You must be a very powerful immortal, right? Lin Zi took over the immortal scripture of destiny, and the purpose of his trip had been completed. It was easier than he thought. A very powerful immortal cannot be counted. But it shouldn't be hard to make your wish come true. Tell me, what do you want? Although this is just a fragment of the world, a world of projection. But Lindsay has always followed the principle of exchange and doesn't like to owe others. Whether it is the realm of reality or the realm of projection, it is nothing more than this. The little boy said directly, I don't want gold, I want you to teach me how to practice. Lindsay shook his head, I don't have the time to teach my disciples. And he couldn't stay in the fragments of this world for long. If you really want to practice, how about I give you a copy of the exercises? The boy's eyes suddenly burst into intense light, like the blazing sun in the sky, lighting up the Gold Coast. Okay, it's a deal. In that case, Lindsay pointed his finger between the little boy's eyebrows. A technique called Purple Moon Fantasy Heart Pupil was poured into the little boy's mind. Lindsay has learned a lot, and the knowledge he has learned after integrating these techniques and learning from each other's strengths remains in Lindsay's mind, and is Lindsay's original creation. This, Purple Moon Fantasy Heart Pupil, is one of them. Naturally, it can't be considered an infringement or a violation of patriarchal rules or anything like that. Lindsay felt at ease by trading his own things. Okay, you give me the stone, I'll give you the technique, the deal is done, you and I owe nothing. After saying that, Lindsay, who had achieved his goal, put away the immortal book of destiny and disappeared directly. I am looking for another pure place to study the Destiny Immortal Sutra and obtain the Destiny Immortal Body. After Lindsay disappeared, the little boy paused for a moment. After, a purple crescent moon flashed in the little boy's eyes. Purple Moon's phantom heart pupils. It's done. The top of the dense virgin forest. Lindsay sat cross-legged in the void. He held the starfish-shaped Immortal Sutra of Destiny in his hand and pushed the Destiny Seal to the limit, hoping to use the Destiny Seal to spy on the true form of the Immortal Sutra. The next moment, the Immortal Book of Destiny in Lindsay's hand became hot. It responded to the Seal of Destiny. God Level Understanding Level 6 activated. You have discovered a unique treasure, the Immortal Scripture of Destiny. However, you are not the immortal body of destiny, so you cannot break through the profound meaning of the Immortal Scripture of Destiny and see the true form of destiny. You try to forcibly break the Destiny Immortal Body and use the destiny for your own use. Can it be done? Sensing the information flow of God-level understanding, Lindsay felt a little unsure. He has always been very confident in his plugins. With the plugins, even high-end items such as the Green Saint Soldiers and the exclusive skills of the 8 Desolate Bloods are at his fingertips. But the Destiny Immortal Body is really a bit beyond the specifications. There is no problem in saying that it is another kind of plugin. And it also has a super limited rule of only one person in a lifetime. Can his God-level understanding talent be able to handle the cheat of Destiny Immortal Body? Lindsay still said the same thing. All in all, it's worth a try. If you can make a profit, you won't lose if you don't succeed. But fortunately, Lindsay's God-level understanding did not disappoint him. You have cracked the mystery of the Destiny Immortal Body. You have successfully transformed your body into a Destiny Immortal Body. The next moment, Lindsay felt that there was something inexplicable in his body. He seems to have a special sense of control over this entire world. As long as he has a thought, the world in front of him seems to change according to his will. This means that my will is God's will and my heart is God's heart. Destiny is mine. At the same time, you use the body of the immortal body of destiny to re-understand the Immortal Sutra of Destiny. This time of enlightenment, I feel like a fish in water, and I don't feel even the slightest bit raw. You have clearly understood the true meaning of destiny. Your Destiny Immortal Body has been completed and further transformation and sublimation has been completed. Your control over destiny is enhanced, consumption is reduced, and you understand more of the secrets of destiny. Comprehension of the Destiny Immortal Sutra enabled Lindsay's Destiny Immortal Body to be completed and sublimated, making it even more powerful. Relying on the supreme power of destiny. Now Lindsay can turn back time and space at any time, negate the heaven and earth, and trace the cause and effect of all things. What a capable person cannot do. In other words, Lindsay's eyes looked through the world's barriers and saw the distant Qingyu. Old friend, good days for you. It's over. I hope everyone will support it and subscribe more.